Spoilers of the Damned.
Hello and welcome to the Spoilers of the Spoilers of the Dad. Spoilers of the Damned podcast. Dad. I'm already drunk.
No, that's the other podcast. That's in a couple of years.
Yeah. How are you, gentlemen? You good?
Two fingers.
Two fingers up.
Very relaxed. It's very good.
Doing pretty good. Just had a couple slices of pizza, so I'm at like tip-top shape right now.
Wish I had pizza. I had to have chicken instead because we needed space in the freezer.
I hate
more space in the freezer for more pizza.
True. I could have had pizza. If I didn't have to make space in the freezer. I'm very sad.
Mm-hmm. I actually wanted pizza pretty bad yesterday, but yesterday was Easter. And it just seemed like it'd be in bad form to, one, make someone work on Easter to make me pizza. Two, to have pizza for Easter dinner. Like, this is normal, everyone. I bought 5 of them.
What about an Easter egg made of pizza?
Ooh.
Are you telling me you've never had
Easter
Christmas
eggs
pizza?
With pizza in them.
Oh, the Christmas.
Or you never had Christmas pizza, or is it just Easter that you like? You won't make someone make a pizza on?
We did have Christmas pizza once.
It's weird, right?
Actually.
It's very weird, but it's kind of fun to do things different sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was one of those things where I think it was actually after my mom had some surgery, so she really wasn't up to snuff with making a Christmas dinner like usual. So we just brought a bunch of stuff. Where one of our family friends bought some Luigi's pizza, and we had fried chicken, and we had Jersey Mike's sub sandwiches. We had just like a smorgasbord of expensive fast food for Christmas. But hey, pizza! I'm on board with it. Give me that pizza all the time.
Pizza, what's not to like?
Right.
So mainly we're talking about pizza today.
Pizza.
We
should always be talking about pizza. Why are we not always talking about pizza?
Yeah. Why isn't this a pizza podcast? Pizza cast. Let's do it.
Pizza cast.
Pizza costumes. Pizza names. I'm Pizzaton 1061 now. He's lost in the pizza, and it's still Garlips. I don't know.
Lost in the pizza oven.
There you go.
Let me get
or down the pizza pipe.
Having recently scrolled through the Spotify podcast list, there is a podcast literally for everything now, so I would not be surprised. I saw one for breakfast cereal, where people just talk about different kinds of breakfast, which no one wants to admit are all just the exact same things, just in different shapes.
Basically. I suppose it's
with or without marshmallows, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, frosted shredded wheats are quite nice.
Yes,
I'm quite preferable to those. Although it's always hard for me to find them because they used to be called frosted shredded wheats, but now they're called frosted wheats or something. And then but that brings up other stuff as well. And then people think I'm talking about shreddies, which is a completely different thing.
Yeah,
it's a struggle every day. It's a hard life.
You wake up and go, "Oh, son of a bitch, it's gonna happen again."
Well, I love cinnamon grahams, and then they changed them from cinnamon grahams to Curiously Cinnamon. Now I don't know what they're called because they don't sell them in the fucking shop anymore.
Yeah, we don't get golden grahams anymore either, do we? We used to be able to get both of them, and now we only have cinnamon. I want golden.
I think unfortunately the grahams were hunted to extinction.
We ate too many.
Oh man, I'm just imagining like a tribe of like Aboriginal people hunting grams to extinction. Like they just keep moving from place to place looking for new grams to hunt.
It's like the white man.
It's like bison all over again. We killed too many.
Yeah. The white man did not listen.
Too good.
Cannot hunt them. So they're up there. The golden grahams. They're up there with the dodo and the bison. It's sad. It's very sad.
The dodo. So somewhere there's a dodo and a bison having bowls of golden grams.
They're part of the problem.
In the good timeline where everyone lives.
Yes. Best timeline.
Should I start us off on stuff?
Yes.
Well, it was Matt's choice.
It is Matt's choice, but we usually kind of have a bit of a preamble before we get there.
Right on.
I was waiting.
Would we like to? Well, should we do some foreshadowing for later?
Yeah, definitely, because I have no idea what you're talking about, so I want to know what you're talking about.
You saw the movie, right?
No, what? No, I just had pizza. That's all I did.
Yeah,
I thought we were having a pizza podcast.
And he watched the pizza cooking.
It was awesome.
It's my favorite movie.
I was like,
I think at one point I might just like start dripping from my fingers or moving backwards, like out of frame. That was so good. I loved the cinematography in that movie.
Yeah, the
was
coloring, the color palette they used as well, the lighting.
Lots of good
really
ideas.
like it. They clearly liked Italian film, that's for sure. In that regard,
I saw that too.
Not just because it was it contained a scene that Lucio Fulci had been proud of, but also it looked like cinematography wise, it was very much like the works of someone like Dario Argento as well. A lot of use of like strong lighting. Not so much reds, but the blues and the oranges. Really good use of color. I really like it.
I mean, even on the poster, I mean that extends to the poster. The poster is such a nice mix of blue and orange, like very subtle blue and very like kind of warm orange together. It's lovely.
The poster's great.
And now I know who was on the poster. Before it's just like, oh, this face is ominous. Now I know everything.
Right.
It's not a Turkish Jeffrey D. Morgan.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Did I say that to you?
No.
Okay, so I came to that completely by myself. And you said the exact same thing.
Yeah, Remzi. Like Remzi, we're getting ahead of ourselves.
Yeah. In my notes, I've got Turkish Jeffrey Dean Morgan, Turkish Negan written in my notes.
He looks
okay, Negan. Like I was like, I think I know who they're talking about.
It's kind of creepy. There's times it's like he looks nothing like him, but most of the time, like, damn, are they related? Like a distant cousin or something.
I think it's the beard and the hair. The fact that the beard has got the white in it.
Yeah.
And the hair is slicked back a bit. But yeah, even then, he looks like it's just, the spit of him.
It's really weird. It's really strange.
That's awesome.
Another picture.
Right, I don't have to mention that later on. There we go.
We can.
Scratch it off the list.
Strike it from the list.
But, well, should we talk about some other stuff first?
Yes.
Okay. So, well, there is a big topic that I think certainly me and Lost want to get into at some point on this the cast today. We played, both of us, like, I think you played them the other way round, and I played them in release order, so that's interesting.
Yeah.
We played the Red Candle games, you know, the one, well, Detention isn't that kind of like controversial, but the other one, Devotion, is the one that caused all the hubbub. And for a horror game, you would think that it was hubbub about, like, you know, the content or the themes. Well, it was about the content, but it wasn't in the way that you would expect. It's controversial because of that Chinese meme that was in it. You're not following, Chris?
I'm sorry?
Are you following? You shook your head like
I was like, that Chinese meme.
Oh, those Chinese
memes.
Like,
I don't know where I am. Who are you people? No, I mean, I've heard about it, and that's why it was hard to pick up. Like, it was delisted off Steam. It was delisted off anywhere else that didn't want to have to fight with China. So eventually, Red Candle just said, fuck it, we'll publish it ourselves. I was going to buy it myself. I could not buy it because of where Red Candle's located. Was it Taiwan, right? Something like that?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. And when I used my card to buy the game, I think my bank was like, yo, that's Taiwan. What the fuck?
Sure,
and they wouldn't let me buy it. And what I have to do is just call my bank and say, hey, I'm going to greenlight that individual purchase. It'll be fine. And then it'll be okay. I'm just tremendously lazy. And yeah.
That's fair, because that does seem like a bit of a ball ache, to be fair.
Just a small one.
Yeah.
Small ball ache. Yeah. I'm just going to stop it right there.
It's not even a lot of money. It's like what, like it's about like 20 £20 for us. It's like not that much. It's if it was like a deluxe $400 pack, and I just sounded like, whoa.
Exactly. Like I wasn't buying Red Candle.
Yeah. One-off purchase to Taiwan. Oh, we can't have that.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I basically just kept finding other things to do besides purchasing those games. Also, with the nagging thought in the back of my head that, you know what? I bet if I don't buy those games now, they'll be. Well, I think Red Candle will just get assassinated by Chinese assassins, and then they won't be able to publish their own game anymore, and then I won't have it. So I need to get on it tomorrow, and tomorrow never comes.
Yeah. Well, I thought I was living dangerously because when they announced that it was up for sale again, I'd left it to the end of that day to go and buy them. I was like, I'm living dangerously.
You're a dangerous boy.
But I have seen like a clip or two. I saw a little bit from Lost, one of his Twitch clips, and I walked in on another buddy of mine named Bloody Thumbs who was streaming it at the time.
Oh, bloody thumbs!
Oh, you know him? Oh yeah, he's in
Yeah,
the clock tower. Yeah, I actually gave him the heads up about that place, so it's cool that he jumped in there. Yep, networking.
Sounds amazing.
Yeah, he's a really chill dude. But yeah, he was playing it. He's really big into horror stuff, and for him, it was like he was just basically kind of making fun of it the way through, the way you would if you want to just like self-defense your way from being scared all the time. The way that I probably would if I was streaming it, but it looked like it was very startling, like startle heavy, like a lot of
in places for sure.
Yeah, that's what's so good about it, is that it's not it doesn't fall into that trap that a lot of modern indie games, whether it's Japanese, Taiwanese, or from the West, where it's just every now and then it's like screaming at that screen. I think there's in terms of like the jump scares, like each individual jump scare, there's not many of them.
No,
but they're all different. You get the one at the very beginning that really caught me off guard because I wasn't even looking in the direction. And this thing like rushed towards me that was at the other end of the hallway, because it's almost like the developers thought, people have played games.
I know the one you're talking about now.
They've played games. They're not going to approach it, are they? So let's give him like 10 seconds, and it's going to run towards them.
Yeah.
But there's never another one like that, really.
There was another one later on which incidentally involved the same lady.
But that was when you looking through the window, and I knew it was going to happen, so I moved away. I was like, oh, I see. I'm going to read the note over here.
I saved my VOD because I'm going to do some cutting of like a highlight reel, and
I want to do that.
Yeah, it's most of my gameplay involves watching a character strafe up and down walls, like not looking directly at things. Because you do get a sense of, oh, this is definitely going to be spooky and scary now, so I definitely don't want to look in this particular direction. But the game is also quite good at anticipating that and then doing something slightly different and catching you out in a different way. Because, like you were saying, that scare at the start, you're walking towards, I think it might be the daughter character or a kid or something. Right at the very start, the very first jump scare, you're walking towards it, and then I looked back, because I was like, I don't want to walk towards that, I'm going to turn around and look back. I looked back, and that was where the jump scare was.
I had that one.
Are we talking about the same one?
It's the adult Spectre is the best way I can put it without spoilers, just in case Chris does play it.
I do recommend playing it, by the way, Chris. Both games, they're great.
Really.
Yeah, but with RE8 on the horizon,
they're wonderful.
With RE8 on the horizon, I don't know where I'll be able to squeeze in a horror game between now and then, especially since the Silent Hill 3 thing will be wrapped up Friday. It'll be done before the end of that stream, and I'll go right into Silent Hill 4 speedrunning. So
that's fair, but I will say they only run to about 3 to 3.5 hours playtime, so you could easily slot one in somewhere if you wanted to.
If I wanted to.
If you wanted to. If not, watch one of our wonderful VODs.
I might rather do that because, as I've said on the podcast several times, I don't like horror. I'm just here to give you guys some balance.
Well, welcome to the podcast about horror.
Right.
Oh boy. But yeah, I thought the themes were great. There's a thing, I mean, obviously, it's going to sound a little bit racist to say it. I don't want to sound racist, but I have to say it out loud, and then maybe, hopefully, it doesn't sound as racist as I think it does. I am not I'm not well-versed with Taiwanese history, characters, themes, political, like, history, anything. So that felt really fresh to me, and I don't want that to sound like cultural appropriation or anything, but like it was just super fresh to me because I'd never seen anything quite like that. I'm sure if I watched exclusively Taiwanese horror films or something, it might be a bit different.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, it's like when I went through Fear Effect 1 a long time ago. It's basically it's set like eventually set into the Chinese mythological hell, which was a whole new world for me, a fat white American guy
Sorry,
who's never been.
I'm imagining like you on a carpet, a whole new world, like just descending into,
Chinese
hell.
mythological hell.
Yeah.
In this case, the carpet is actually like origami paper being sacrificed to be appearing in Chinese mythological hell. So yeah, I mean, I don't consider that appropriation. They sold it to me. Did they
Well,
not
yeah.
want my money?
No,
Taiwan,
it's
Red
more
Candle
just
sold you those games.
it's more
Did
just a
they
case
not
of I
want
don't
your
want to
money?
sound like I'm like, oh, this is great because it's new to me,
It's okay to say that.
Okay.
It's great because it's new to you. I don't see any problem with that.
I think
All right.
because you.
I don't want to
because
sound
you
like
don't.
like I just don't. Yeah.
No, I understand the concern, but no, I think that because I don't think there's anything wrong with feeling that way. Because yeah, if you don't know a lot about Taiwanese history and that much about the culture, then yeah, it's all going to be fresh to you, which is only a good thing.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, what's the first step of knowing something anyway? You have to like meet it, and you've met it with Red Candle's games. And if you want to continue on and justify your appropriation by continuing to learn more about them, you are now free to do so.
You know what? Sometimes, Chris, that's all I need is just a sensible person to tell me everything's okay. Because you spend time on the internet and you're worried that you are stepping into a big
Yes.
pile of shit. So
Yes.
my racist? No, but I like the game.
Right.
I like
I
it,
know.
but I don't want to seem like I'm oh, I don't know. Cut to commercials.
Am I racist for liking it in the culture?
I've got to drink a lot right now. Hold on.
Yeah, the word I'm looking for is fetishize it. I don't want to seem like I'm just fetishizing it because it's it's
I get
new
you.
and fresh.
I mean, I think the story's oh,
Right on cue.
we've left.
Every time.
To the Chinese hell with you.
China found out. They discovered. They knew
There
what
we
was
go.
happening. How
You're
dare you
back, you're
speak
back, you're
kindly of this game?
Yes.
So we'll take out the one
I mean,
who doesn't play it.
Right. I'll always come back. I just don't know why I go away. I just don't know why. I have no idea
It's weird.
what the hell is going on.
Bizarre. But where were we?
Oh,
What?
we're just talking about the games. They're good.
Yeah, you were
They're
talking about
good
Red
games.
Candle stuff.
Well,
Well,
that's I was saying about the story. I think the fact obviously it helps that it's set in where it is, but I think the story it tells could very easily be transported just elsewhere. Just because obviously there's a big part of it is more of a it's not really it's like kind of a cult mentality. So you could very easily transport it to the West in terms of story.
Oh,
And just
specifically because it's sort of that whole idea of faith healing. So
Yeah.
faith will heal you, and you don't need medicine or, in the case
Yep.
of that game, just being a decent, normal husband who cares about his family.
Yep. So it just all could have been avoided.
Yeah, without too many spoilers, Devotion it's kind of a shit husband simulator with
Yeah.
with some
as husband
like
simulator.
paper mache dolls and stuff in it.
Yeah, like it's one of those instances where because I often criticize a lot of modern indie horror. It's one of the reasons I wasn't really that bothered with Layers of Fear. Like Layers of Fear was okay in places, but I don't want to play it again. I'm kind of over this whole trope of you're playing as a character who did something bad. Oh, it's like yes,
Yeah.
I played Silent Hill 2. It's great, but did you know that other games exist in the franchise where the character didn't do anything bad?
Right.
Like
Yeah.
Henry, who was literally in the wrong place at the wrong time.
For a few days, actually.
Yeah. It's a trope in horror as well. It's just but a lot of modern horror does take great inspiration from the Silent Hill series. As much as people might say no, it's like no, it does.
Mhm.
And PT as well. I will say I don't think Devotion exists without PT.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, but it does it well. It actually makes a full game from it. It's why I kind of got bored with stuff like Visage, which starts off really well and then just gets really tiresome, and I wanted it to be over, and the ending's just bad anyway. But there's obviously bad husband simulator and bad father simulator in Devotion, but what it does so well is despite it kind of having that trope, it it tells the story in such a good way that you understand exactly what
Absolutely.
everyone is doing and why everyone is doing it. It's not just you're an artist who went crazy and killed his wife. It's like, oh, fuck
It's
off.
nicely paced as well. It's
Yeah.
self-contained. You don't need to know anything else, and you can kind of hop in for 3 hours and you're done, and you have a nice little experience. I think that's kind of overstated in this day and age. It's kind of oh, we've got to make it just a bit longer, add in another dungeon or something.
It doesn't have to. Yeah, sometimes if the story calls for it, it doesn't have to be that long. Not everything has to be as I've said before about one of my major critiques of The Last of Us Part 2 is that it's just too fucking long.
Tell me about it.
It's too
Yeah.
long.
Oh,
and it's like,
boy.
it doesn't have. Just for the story it tells as well. It does not have to be that long. It really doesn't. And obviously for you it's even worse because you're in grounded mode. But and that is. I don't know how you have any hair left. I don't know how you have more hair than me.
I'm a bit of a masochist. It
Obviously
turns
my
out.
Yeah.
hair is thinning like mad. It's long, but it's
I
thin.
watch him go through grounded mode, and he just keeps going. Like he just dies a lot, and then he just keeps going. And it's like,
I don't know how you
do
do it.
anything else with your time. I could do something else with my time, but I'm still like,
There is a little bit.
Watching this
There's
shit.
a little bit. I'm gonna have to clip it out of last week's stream. For anyone who doesn't know, I was stuck on the as Abby at the end of the first day of Abby. You have to deal with a load of infected in
Abby.
a really tight space.
Abby.
Yeah, and it took me about 2 hours to clear this one checkpoint. I actually had to restart the encounter because I checkpointed myself where I had not enough ammunition. Or well, I did. It turns out I could have done it with the ammunition I had, but I wanted to see if I could conserve ammunition a bit better in the beginning of that fight. And yeah, there was one moment where I kind of turned to the camera and I said, "Do you ever get the feeling like you're wasting your life?" And then I said,
Yeah.
"I don't ever have that feeling," and restarted the checkpoint.
well done. That's right.
Oh,
No
This is
time
why-
is ever wasted, ever.
This is why you should play the Dark Souls games. It'd be perfect for them.
They're on the list. Yeah, I need to get started at some point.
Yeah,
that's going to be a marathon, so it's.
Or let me know what you're playing them on, because if you need a hand, I'm always happy to hop on.
I'm pretty sure I'm
and
going to be able to play the entire thing through on PS5. I think.
Lucky.
Oh, I have all of them on PS4. Perfect. There you go. Perfect. And Bloodborne as well. Yes. And Demon Souls.
Yeah, like,
Are you doing it
Bloodborne is
chronologically?
Bloodborne is the only one that I'm actually interested in playing through.
Mm.
I have this real thing where, and I call it being robbed of agency. Whenever and just another preface, I know you're supposed to die. I get it. But I would rather die fighting and in combat and go, how could I have done that better? Than, like, to be killed by a trap I could not have foreseen without, some preternatural knowledge. Like, I would have to, like, just the perfect example without any spoilers, Dark Souls 1, you're in the Undead's labyrinth, or no, sanctuary, and there's that ball rolling down the stairs. That's a perfect trap, because you see it coming for a half of a second, and you can reflex save out of it. But if you don't, it's bonk. Gotcha, bitch. We were setting the stage.
Well, this-
know?
This is why whenever I'm playing one for the first time, or I haven't played them for a while, I walk everywhere. I don't run this. I know an area safe. I walk. So I'm walking, and the camera's constantly moving around.
Yes. But see, that favors you in Demon Souls, which is the only one that I've beaten, because I found if I walked everywhere, my shield up all the time, good chance I can block whatever's coming or dodge out of the way. Because Demon Souls I felt was way better paced than Dark Souls, where it's like, guess what, Dragon? What are you gonna do now? I have nothing for Dragon. I'm just gonna burn on this bridge and come back later. Maybe I can get my souls if Dragon doesn't kill me at the exact same spot again. Oh. And then, like, the last straw was Dark Souls 1, the roof of An Orlando, where you have those two silver archers, like, right here. You have a straight path right here. It stops right in between both archers. So they're shooting at you, like so. And you can either go to this one and kill him, or this one and kill him. Either way, you're getting shot in the back. And you have to hope your best that you can either turn it and block it with your shield, or dodge roll forward so you don't fall off the narrow path that you're on, either left or right side. And then maybe kill the guy on one side or the other side so that you can have some kind of safety. I died there, like, not like for hours. I don't have that kind of patience. I died there more than enough. Like, once more than I was allowing myself to die there. And I was just fucking mad because the developer wasn't like, oh, they should be able to figure this out just real easily. No, the developer's like, this will definitely kill them at least 7 times before they figure out how to get through this. Probably through sheer dumb luck and RNG will they actually make it through. And that's what makes a good game. A very good, yes. Killing the player makes a good game on purpose. Oh god, I fucking hate
That's
that
good
shit
lunch.
so much.
I love it.
You love it.
I love it. That's why you always have a bow. Even if you're playing as, well, unless you're playing as a magic user. Always have a bow. Always.
I would like to say I'll remember this advice, by the way, Chris, but I will have forgotten by the time I get there.
Yeah, I know. It'll be fine.
I will live all of this again, and then eventually I'll be revisiting this podcast years later and go, oh my god, he warned me.
Yes. Like, when I play Dark Souls, like, my very first character in Demon Souls was a magician. Because I usually play a swordsman of some kind. So I was like, I'm going to turn things around and just start as a magician. I think that'll be really interesting in this world. And I played, like, a Dungeons and Dragons 2nd edition wizard. Dagger, cloth armor, use magic. That's not how you play a wizard in Demon Souls at all. Because you stay super weak all the time,
Yep.
and you'll cast spells, but it won't matter because you just take one shot, you're dead. It's always like cast magic, shoo,
Yep.
dodge roll.
Pretty much. Once you go for, if you do Dark Souls 1, you just go for pyromancy. Pyromancy is the way to go. It's so good.
That's what I'm talking about, though. Just go pyromancy. Like, whenever like game advice is just do this, that's when I just shut off, because it's like, well, then I no longer have a choice. You and the collective internet hive mind have chosen for me what is the actual best way to do this.
Well,
So there's no reason for me to do this because I'm not going to find anything new.
you say that, but I still don't use pyromancy, even though I know it's probably the best option to go for. Because I just never do. I always go for sword.
I'm the kind of
Sword
person
and
who
bow.
hears that and says, fuck it, I'm going to do it the hard way.
You want to do it the hard way, you go, you make a dex-based character and you have no shield.
Yeah, that's
And
the
you just
hard
roll
way for
everyone,
sure.
which is what I was doing. Because you can get a ring in, like, I can't remember the name of the place, but I'll just call it Mount Doom. So you go to Mount Doom. Oh, it's Lost Easy-Leaf. Yeah, Lost Easy-Leaf. And you find a ring that improves your invincibility frames when you're rolling. So instead of just dodge rolling, you cartwheel. And if you roll forwards, you do like a forward flip.
Oh,
It's amazing.
but
That's
you
how
have to
do it.
get there. You have to get there.
But I mean, as long as you're not weighed down, you can still roll quite quickly without it. It just improves. So once you get that, if you're making like playing as a dex-based character, then yeah, you're sorted. You're absolutely fine.
Yeah,
Be flipping all over the place. Unless it's the Bed of Chaos, which is the worst boss in the series.
exactly. That's the coin toss boss. Because
I
you
hate
may or may not get it. You'll know what to do. You'll be ready. But then, like, the floor falls out from under you, and where that happens isn't the same spot every time. So you might just fall to your death.
Yeah, that's the one boss I've never seen anyone that's a fan of the series go, no, that's okay. Everyone hates it.
Yeah.
Every hardcore fans hate it as well. Like, it's the worst boss. Because
Like,
it's
big
not,
room, root structure in the back,
looks
run
cool.
to the boss, fall to your death.
Yeah, it looks
Try
cool,
it
but
again.
it's just not a fun boss fight. It looks really cool. It really does look cool. And it's got good lore, but the fight itself is just rubbish. Every old boss fight's good though. Especially Blood.
I like Demon Souls.
Demon
I
Souls
would
is
play
great.
through that again. I would love to play through that again.
Yeah.
I just felt like I had far more control over my character and my progression in that game. Like,
No, that's
the
fine.
only thing that you can not do is use certain weapon types versus certain enemy types. Like, you
Yes.
have to use piercing versus like those scaly, hard, like skinned monsters in the
they're
mines.
horrible.
You've
God.
got to use piercing, or else you'll do like 1% of your damage using slashing. So it's like you can still make it if you're good, but you'll be wasting a lot of time.
So when I did the remake, I played as a standard knight, and yeah, having just like a straight sword against them is not good.
No,
That's horrible. It's absolutely horrible, and there's no way through it.
nope.
Really,
I went
'cause
with
you're
the
working with a
S-Doc.
straight sword.
S-Doc was the best. I was just like, shield up.
Oh yeah, because you can have your shield up, can't you? And just poke. Oh, this is the Soulsborne stream now, I'm afraid. So sorry, chat. Just going to
Yeah. Whatever you expected this to be is now gone.
Yeah.
RNG. What are you gonna do?
The title says Souls Games, but it also says also by Chris PS5.
I deserve it. I'm a good boy.
The yeah,
Right,
but
had
I
to
see
come
what you mean
down.
about that. Like even if you know what to do, there's just sometimes a dice roll that means that you just will not. That checkpoint in the end that I was stuck on for the longest time, I knew exactly what I had to do, but sometimes an enemy would just spawn in a completely different place for no reason. 50th time out of like 50 times, you know,
Yeah.
I'd get I was like, I have 3 bullets. I kill this clicker, I kill this clicker, I kill this clicker, I get more bullets from that clicker. And sometimes I'd get there and there just wouldn't be the bullets. And it's
Yeah.
like,
Yep.
guess I'll die.
Yes, all right. Yeah. But it's really strange because like I don't hate RNG. I don't mind a lack of agency in certain ways. Because I'm just going to twist this into Dead by Daylight because I've been playing that on Kemiro's stream every Sunday. And in that game, what you bring into a match may or may not be useful depending on the killer who's also in the match. For example, there's a killer called the Plague. She is a sort of like a hierophant or some sort of like temple priestess or whatever. They tried to cure the plague through faith. It didn't work, killed everybody, including her. So her
Hitting.
her or MO or whatever now is to just spread the plague. That's how she kills in the Dead by Daylight universe. So she vomits like plague-ridden vomit at projectile range.
Yes, I've seen you
Like,
playing as her, I think.
yeah, you probably saw it once or twice. I'm terrible with her. But you can vomit not just on survivors. You can vomit on the pallets. You can vomit on the generators. You can vomit on whatever a person can touch. And if they touch it, they gain 1 stack of infection, which after enough stacks, they actually become injured. If they become injured, they cannot heal out of being injured. They're staying in the injured state the entire time. The only way they can get out of it is if they find a purifying water basin, which they can then cleanse the plague off of them. But if they do that, that plague empowers the water basin, so the plague killer can go to that water basin, drink the plague that you just washed off of yourself, and then have an empowered projectile that will actually cripple you instead of just hurting you for a period of time. Yeah,
Horrible. That's like horribly one-sided. I know the
it
game
feels like
is
that.
anyway, but yeah.
It feels like that, but the thing is, most players just never worry about healing at this point. Because if they don't go to the basin and they don't empower the killer gets neutered for their extra ability, which just never shows up. They just basically work on the generators and just stay sick. Who cares? You know what I mean? But the RNG aspect I was talking about, though, is that you can bring med kits and have all healing perks and then go into a match with a killer who, well, won't let you heal, and then you basically just wasted all your stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't mind that for some reason, because it's still like, all right, now it's a test of
Adapt
game
and
knowledge,
survive,
skill,
yeah.
leadership, that kind of thing, you know? It's just a strange way, like RNG is not bad all the time. Lack of agency is not bad all the time. But for some reason, the Souls games just really hurt me on the inside. Like Dark Souls 3 in the very beginning. I'm trying not to spoil anything major, but in the very beginning, there's a zombie that just turns into a dragon. Like it's one of those it's one of the what are they called? They're not broken, they're husks, they're what are they called? Hollows. And you approach like a group of them. One of them
yeah.
spawns like a half of a dragon head and an arm and a wing, and it just starts going ripping tear towards you, and it's like you still have to fight it. Like, holy shit, you still have to fight this thing. It's not just like a cutscene where it's like that's the boss for later. It's genuinely a fight now, and it's not a fight you can kill and then it's just gone for the rest of the game. It's always there and it'll always come back. Good luck every time you get to that spot. Knowing about it is not enough. Oh, I hate that.
Oh, it's. Are you looking forward to playing it, Tom?
Yes, I actually am. Mainly
Yeah,
because
yeah.
well, I know that there's so much lore and interesting stuff to find out, but also I'm very much of the mind that I like bashing my head against something, trying to work out how to do it. That's just what I do. So I'm going to start with like big man with sword because that's who I play as in nearly every game ever. And then if I find out the game says, oh, maybe Big Man with Sword is not very good here, use this thing, then maybe I'll start to try and kind of like learn the bits of the game that kind of like I need. But yeah, twatting things with swords is pretty much my one tactic. And Last of Us, it's just guns instead of swords.
Yeah. It's like, for me, you guys know I'm a Devil May Cry fan. So when I played Dark Souls, I was like, I want to be evasive and fast and hit a lot. I want to have a sword that would allow me to do this. So I always choose the Wanderer as my startup character.
Pretty good. That's not bad.
Yeah,
Choose
I like the move list that they have, where they have like that sort of backflip slash and like the good kind of stuff, and I do pretty good. It's not like I can't beat a boss or anything. I get past the Taurus demon. I get past the 2 gargoyles. I get past things with that. But there are times when it just feels like I'm not equipped for this. Specifically, that lake dragon, like that 7-headed Hydra dragon thing in that forest lake.
Yeah, you can avoid that.
You don't have to fight it, but I'm going to fight everything.
Yep.
I'm going to fight every fucking thing.
But it's there. I have to fight it.
And I still kill it. It's just that I find that there's one spot that you can stand that will let you dodge its attacks 100% of the time. And then from that point, you can kill the heads one by one. It's not really cool, but it worked. And I did it, and that's fine, I guess. So, I don't know. Souls games are weird like that. I find this massive gulf between like my expectations of what a video game is and other people's. For example, I had a conversation just like this with somebody else who said, well, the game isn't meant to be fair. And I'm thinking, what if that was on the box? Like, you pick up Dark Souls, look on the back, this game is not meant to be fair. It's like, oh, well, why the fuck would I just put it back and go somewhere else?
I mean, to be fair, I think it was it Dark Souls 2? The complete Ultimate Edition was called the Prepare to Die Edition.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a great name for an Ultimate Collection, like the Game of the Year edition.
Mm-hmm.
That's a great name, the Prepare to Die Edition.
And I don't mind dying in combat. I just mind dying to sudden, irreversible damage that I didn't see coming in combat. Where it's just like, oh, you know that tree? It's actually alive and it will eat you now. It's like, oh shit, what the fuck? Or Blighttown.
I like fair challenge. And I think sometimes it is a fine line that people have to walk. And incidentally, recently I've been watching a lot of Silent Hill 4 streams because obviously we're going to do that whole speedrunning thingy. Yeah. And I didn't realise until this time watching all these people play it just how fucking evil the devs were in Silent Hill 4. It's everything is a beginner's trap. Like they constantly make you go back to the house just so that you will like waste time. They've got like those wallmen that like are RNG, and you can have a good wallman or a bad wallman. I'm practicing doing the whole kind of like running up to them, pulling back just before, letting them swing, working out how many swings there are, and then running past. But even like my first time up there, I was just got decimated. That killed the run instantly. There's the doll. If you pick it up and take it home, you get more hauntings, and no one tells you. And you're just, as a gamer, you're designed to like, oh, I'll pick this thing up. It must be important. Because he's sitting on the stairs and he gives you a little story, and you're like, oh, okay, I'll pick up the doll. And then there's nowhere to use the doll, so you go, okay, well, I guess I'll just throw it in my chest for now, and that's how you seal your fate. You know?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the doll.
Yeah. So like, and I've been watching a couple of people stream, and I deliberately haven't mentioned anything about the doll because I want people to experience the beginner's trap. Like, it's almost kind of like this, like, bitter old man who's like, oh well, if I had to suffer the first time through, you do too, because no one told me about the doll either.
But here's the thing. To help me. Here's the thing about that, though. This is why it's completely okay with me. There are more than enough holy candles in the game. More than enough. I ended my run with 5 extra holy candles. Like no less than 5, plus a saint medallion. So if the haunting happens in your item box, you have a solution. You don't die to it. You just have to waste a little bit of a resource and go, this fucking doll, what the hell? Maybe you leave it in there. Maybe you holy candle it 4 times throughout a run. It doesn't matter. You have that resource.
Yeah.
It's just like classic Doom, where if you get into like a trap scenario, almost always within the trap room itself, there are med kits, there is ammo. So if you survive the trap, you get to bounce back. If you die from the trap, that's just you just have to play a little bit better. But beyond that, there's always something to repair the damage the developer intentionally caused to you. This does not exist in a Souls game.
Yeah, to be fair, Last of Us 2 is the same as well. I mean, if you are low on ammo, like if all of your weapons are empty and you're in a combat scenario, enemies will drop more ammo. Like it will happen because they've kind of said, okay, there's got to be a way for someone to get physically out of this particular, and they've also got the rolling back checkpoints thing as well. So not only can you checkpoint in an encounter, but you can restart back to the start of the encounter if you feel that you are literally in a brick wall and there's nowhere else to go. I feel like that's important, and that's yeah, I can imagine, especially if you've put all of your time and effort into a particular build that is just completely screwed on boss number 11, and you have no way of knowing.
Yeah.
However, just real quick, Matt, I'm sorry, I know you're chomping. I just want to say one last thing. In Souls Games' defense, there are people who beat that game without any equipment whatsoever.
Yeah, I don't know how they do it.
Or 2 players, 1 controller. Skill can overcome that whole game and make it look like a bitch.
Or a dance mat and steering wheels and shit like that as well. I've seen people do.
So, that's on me. I'm not good enough at Souls games. I will admit that on the internet. I suck at Souls games. It's my fault. And I am bitterly pointing directions like that thing and that thing and that thing. But and I'm not wrong, but I could be better. So, yeah.
But you're also not crazy enough to practice enough so that you can do it without using weapons and armor, which I can't even comprehend trying to do that. There's like people that have done Bloodborne without any weapons, just like using melee, like just like hand to hand. Sorry, no dodging, no parries.
Oh,
because obviously there is a mechanic where when you get hits, the health doesn't go straight down. Like the one part of it does, and there's still red there. So if you attack the enemy within a set amount of time, you can get your health back.
Yeah,
I love that mechanic.
Yeah, because it kind of encourages you to be aggressive, which is what Bloodborne is about, being aggressive. Whereas Dark Souls is kind of like stick and moving and wait, just not stick and moving, but just kind of waiting for the opportunity. Whereas Bloodborne is just hammer him, basically, like rolling, getting close, shoot him in the face, and then just stab him repeatedly. But yeah, like, I mean, I suppose that's the only way you could do like the no rolling or parrying runs. You've just got it's just people that know exactly how a boss is going to attack and how they should attack at the same time to get their health back in time. But I don't have. I love the games, but I don't have the patience to even try that. So that wouldn't be fun for me either. So.
This is one of those things where I kind of feel guilty because I am not at a loss for games to play. I have never been. My very first Christmas that I remember where I got a Nintendo, my parents got the Nintendo and about 10 other games. They put it in a bigger box and they wrapped all the individual boxes on the inside. And it was addressed to my brother and I, right? I think I was like 6 or 7. It was no older than 7. So, my parents were like, here, open this one. This is your Christmas gift. I was like, okay, cool. We open it up. It's full of individually wrapped packages. We had no idea what it was. Open the bigger one first. Okay. And Nintendo. And then I was like, oh my God. Like, I remember the elation. Like childhood memories don't really exist beyond this point. This is the first one that I'm like, I remember this. And I was like, Jason, these must be Nintendo games. And we were ripping through them at Blaster Master and Castlevania and fucking like just all the classic shit, right? It was all at once. So like even from the very beginning, even on the Commodore 64, which is what I was playing before the Nintendo, we had stacks of like 5.5-inch floppy disks. They were just bootleg games. I didn't know any better. Just bootleg games that I have never been at a point where it's like I only have this one game. and I'm going to play video games today. So how can I continue to eke more flavor out of this one game? I know, I'll do it without any armor. I've never been that guy, so I think that's why I just can't make that leap myself.
Yeah.
Even
It's
like Mega Man, I love Mega Man, but I'll never do Buster only ever.
Yeah. It's like people have done like OG Legend of Zelda runs where you don't use the sword, you just use bombs and items.
Yes.
I've seen footage of people doing runs of the original Final Fantasy with all white mages, or
Yes.
even more insane, one white mage, just letting the others die, getting them
Oh
purposely
my
killed, and then just doing the whole game with one white mage. It's like,
Oh my
I
god.
credit to you for being able to do it, but I would either rather play the game normally again, or one of the other games that I really like. Like speedrun, I really enjoy watching speedruns, and I used to do it unknowingly used to do it when I was younger. When I would just play Resident Evil 2 like constantly, like all day. I just keep playing it and playing it and playing it because I loved it so much. And I remember being able to beat scenario A in, I don't know, it's actually like 50 minutes, 49 minutes, maybe less time, because I just, in my brain, I knew where everything was, and I'd just figured out the best route to everything, where I could pick this item up to get before picking that item up, on the way to picking that item up, so then I can unlock this to get that item on the way to this one. And yeah, I used to love doing that. But now I can't. I just can't do it. I can't do it. But I really enjoy watching speedruns because I think speedruns are really cool because it's really good to see people that have actually no. I like watching speedruns that do not use any kind of exploit or glitches
Yes.
because I don't feel like you're doing the game justice. I feel like because some people go, yeah, my fastest time for Mario 64 is like 5 minutes. Like, yeah, because you used the stair glitch. You didn't beat the game, did you?
Yeah, you didn't
You did,
overcome the challenges. You went
yeah,
around them.
I
exactly.
think
So,
space exists for all of it. So like, I when I first started watching speedrun, I was very much the same. I was like, I only want to see people who actually play the game. But it is kind of funny to see something get beaten in 10 minutes as well. I don't think there's like I don't think there's as much prestige or skill involved. Sometimes, I mean, sometimes the glitches are just insane, and
yeah,
they take hours, hundreds of hours to learn. And in that regard, I can appreciate the skill it takes to
yeah,
do them. But at the same time, I'm like you. I mean, like I was saying the other day at the start of trying to speedrun Silent Hill 4, I was like, when I was 10 years old, I used to play Banjo Kazooie, and Banjo Kazooie, the first level, Mumbo's Mountain. I don't know if you guys are aware of Mumbo's Mountain, but
Yeah.
I don't know
you
shit
can
about
complete it in
Banjo-Kazooie.
10 minutes. Well, you can complete it in far less than 10 minutes, but like just under 10 minutes was my best time because I noticed that the game tracks the time that you spend in a level. And in Banjo Kazooie, all of the other levels you have to leave and then come back once you've got some kind of like power up or something that lets you get further. Mama's Mountain was the only one you could do in one shot. And so I would try to get a faster time on Mumbo's Mountain, and it helped that it was level 1 because then you could just start up a new file and try again. Start up a new file and try again. And like, I didn't even realize at the time, but now I know that like part of my technique involved animation cancelling because if you are playing as the termite, you don't do the animation of the jigsaw, so you save time. Like, I didn't realize at the time that that's what I was doing, and so I think it's always kind of been in the back of my mind that like, speedrunning. I would love to do speedrunning.
Speedrunning is great because I just like I said, I just think it's so cool to watch people that have just become like they're just really good at this. Like they're just good at a game. It's like they're just like getting shots off, like understanding the mechanics. Like I used to be like a really good shot in like Metal Gear Solid 2. I'm still quite a good shot in Metal Gear Solid 2.
I was watching some
But
of
it's
your
just
streams, and you were doing
yeah,
very well.
it's just like click, you know, just it's all about equipping the weapon, dequipping because you can reload it by unequipping the weapon. But yeah, it's just you start to understand the mechanics, and it's just watching someone get through it like really skillfully and quickly like that it's really cool. It is really cool. It's another reason why I don't really like when people would upload hitless, like no hit runs of like an old Mega Drive, Genesis, or like NES game, and it's like, yeah, but you used the what is it? There's the tool. They use the tool from emulators where you can literally just like go back
Oh right, yeah.
after you hit, and then just like it. So you basically train the game to play it for you. It's like that's just busy work. You've not done that yourself. You've just gone, oh shit, I've got hit, reload.
At
do it
that
again.
point, it's basically a TAS, a tool-assisted speedrun at that point.
It's like I know there's work goes into them. I don't deny that, but I think it's way more exciting to see someone actually doing it. Like they actually get through a game without getting hit.
Yeah,
like, that's incredible.
Well, when I was stuck on that checkpoint in The Last of Us 2, I ended up loading up a video just to see someone do it, so I knew roughly, because I didn't know whether it was actually time-related or wave-related in terms of killing enemies to get the checkpoint to progress, or whether I could just hang around after killing a certain amount of people. Turns out you don't have to kill the last, what are they fucking called? Shufflers, mumblers, whatever, the gassy ones.
Yeah, those annoying fuckers.
Yeah. You don't have to kill... Well, presumably you don't have to kill both of them, but at the very least you only have to kill one of them to get Lev to appear. But while I was watching that, I was watching someone who was on Act Permadeath Grounded mode. So they did that in that whole act, which is the start of Abby's Day 1 all the way to the end of Abby's Day 1. No damage. That's incredible. I will never be that good.
Wait, there's a permadeath option?
There is a permadeath option, yeah. It's a one of the trophies that were added to the game afterwards. You can set permadeath per whole game, per act, per chapter.
Oh, yes.
So I cheesed it basically because I wasn't interested in permadeath. I feel like that's too much for me.
That is.
So I just went through on per act on one of the easier difficulties just because I couldn't be bothered. Even then, the Rat King took me out and I had to get back there and it took me 25 minutes.
Okay.
So...
I was thinking, but what about the trophy, man? You gotta get the trophy. Then he said you did it on easy, so I get it.
Got the trophy, and that's all that matters.
Jesus.
Just to cap off speedrunning, though, the one thing I will say is if you're thinking about speedrunning or you've ever wanted to do it, just start.
There you go.
I'm not even doing it properly yet, like properly, in that I've not watched the world record and I'm not trying to emulate the world record or the route that they take. I'm literally I press start on a timer and I started playing the game with a guide just to jog my memory.
Yeah.
And next time the time will be quicker and quicker still. And it's just start doing it. I wish I'd been doing it already for a long time.
Yeah. And then after a while you won't need the guide.
It'll be mental spreadsheet.
And you've still put, and I would argue that you have still put the work in because you have learnt. You are studying almost. You have, when you're studying for an exam, you are reading from a textbook. It's not like you haven't done it yourself because you have studied and taken in the information. So yeah, you're enhancing your skills. You're understanding how the game works, and then so once the guide goes, it's just about honing your skills even more. And then I would assume trying not to throw your computer out of the window when the wallmen hit you because they're the worst enemy in any fucking horror game ever.
Actually, no. I have never had a problem with them, and I would hate to fight the Slurpers in Silent Hill 3 more than those things on the walls.
Actually, the Slurpers are really annoying as well because they're quick.
They sure as fuck are.
Yeah.
Well,
and they're so loud.
I await your speedruns with great interest. No problem with the wallmen, you say? Okay.
So much. They're not the worst enemy in horror, but they're up there because... because they can hit Eileen as well, can't they?
Yeah, they hit Eileen. There was, I think, when I watched Enigma do his Silent Hill 4 speedrun back in 2016, he killed them first. He left Eileen alone in one of the safe rooms, and then he killed them first. I think. No, wait, I just made that up. That can't possibly be true because he didn't care about Eileen at the end of the game. You basically, so like protecting her wouldn't be. But it would stop you from completing that level faster if she's constantly getting knocked over. Yeah. So I think it is faster to clear out the way first and then bring her over.
Yeah, because otherwise it'd be like, I can't go without Eileen.
It will be interesting to see what actual proper like professional speedrunners do with Silent Hill 4 once I've finished my first go through because your first instinct is to just get like the shit ending and just completely disregard Eileen, except I totally forgot that you need her at certain points, like you cannot progress without her. So I'd left her in some godforsaken corridor, like near the start of that area, and I had to go back and get her, and sometimes she was just on the floor and she wouldn't get up. So yeah, there probably is a skill to looking after her, but I was very lucky to get speaking of networking in the Clock Tower team, I was lucky to get Juhos pop in my chat at one point to say hello, and yeah,
Yours is great.
yeah.
I've watched that guy.
I've
I've
been
watched that
watching
guy
him play Book
speedrun.
of Memories recently.
Yeah, he's good. Like, watching him go, he's good. He's been playing Resident Evil Nemesis for the first time. He's never played it before.
Wow.
Like, what? It's like, yeah, he's like watching him speedrun the Grudge game. Like the way, I'm like,
Wii.
you've not played what?
Oh
But
my
yeah,
god, I've got that somewhere.
Yeah,
Never
what's it
played
called? The Haunted House Simulator or something like that.
There's
but
another
yeah,
one for the Wii as
Grudge.
well that's a lot like that called Calling. And the whole premise is
Oh,
the
yeah, yeah.
Wiimote is like a telephone, so you hold it up to your ear at
Correct.
certain times because it rings.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
More horror games should have done that. I know they did it with Shattered Memories. The phone calls and that came through the
The Wiimote.
Wiimote. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's a shame that more horror titles didn't use that because that'd been really cool.
Yeah, it was really cool in Shattered Memories. I genuinely like that game, and I'll play it again easily
It's one of the only ones
on
I've never played.
request or stream or whatever.
Mm.
It does miss the mark a little bit when you have it on PS2 because you can't do PS2 controller against your face. It's not as fun. It's also pointless since the audio doesn't come out of the controller.
It's a phone.
And
It's
the puzzles
something
are
that
all
clearly
too
they adopted
easy.
from
Every one of them
Wiimotes,
are too easy.
It's the only one
beyond
I've
that, though,
played.
Beyond that, though, it's actually a really good story, and it's one that hits me like right in the heart because it's relevant to some of my past. So I was just like, and I love Kaufman, man. Like that psychologist dude, he's really cool. Like that ending monologue where he throws the whiskey glass against the wall, telling whoever's in the office to wake up. You know, I love that scene. I would watch that scene over and over again. It's so good.
Yeah, I like the fact that it uses characters from the original without, and it does its own thing, which is exactly what it should have done.
Yes.
Because if they had have just redone the story again, but with that gameplay style, it would not have worked.
No,
not at all.
I need to revisit it. It's very hazy in my memory.
It's the only one I know all about it, and I know all the endings and everything. I know how the characters can change, but it's the only one that I've never actually played. I've played all of the others except for that. It's one of the only ones I don't own as well, because I don't own Origins or no, that's it. Yeah, those are the only ones I don't. Yeah, and so you're lucky because
this costs too much money. Don't buy this.
Fucking expensive. The Wii version's expensive as well now.
I have 2 copies of that.
Not surprised.
Bastard. I'm pretty sure it's still quite expensive. Let me have a quick.
Last I checked, it was like $150.
Yeah, and that the PS2 version is definitely the most expensive.
Yes.
Let me just have a quick look on
the Wii version, which is objectively better, is not as expensive as the PS2 version.
Almost fucking hell. For a fully boxed version, it's basically full price, £36. So actually 38 because of postage. So yeah, it's basically full price. The Wii version.
Yeah, to have that value at this point in time definitely means that it's above tier, like normal tier in Wii games. Yeah. Probably not the most expensive though.
Yeah. Oh wow, I think that the PS2 version's going down in price. You know, well, I mean, I say going down in price. New and sealed £75. That's still quite expensive, but it's not as expensive as I thought. So
sometimes you find that regions are different as well because Haunting Ground, although expensive in the UK, is much cheaper in terms of than the US version of Haunting Ground. Same with Rule of Rose as well.
Well, yeah. Oh, it'd be like.
Which I have a copy of that too.
Yeah, I've got a copy of that too.
It'd be like trying to get Forbidden Siren 2 in America, but you can't.
Okay. PlayStation 2, Silent Hill: Shattered Memories, PS2, complete in box with manual, $349.
Fuck you now.
Someone will buy it. Someone will pay for it.
I mean, I need to sell one of my copies. This one here is a brand new factory sealed for $400.
It's like I've got a Mega Drive game. You can't actually see it on the shelf because one of the other games is obscuring it. But I've got the Demolition Man game on the Mega Drive. And because it's boxed and has the manual, it's what I could sell it for £200. For some reason, the PAL version is like super rare. Nice. I have no idea why. But it's really rare.
Part of it is time. Part of it is rarity. and scarcity. Part of it is sometimes these things, apparently, like games in general, retro games went massively up because of COVID, because everyone was at home and they had a little bit more money and they wanted to recapture their youth or whatever. So all that stuff kind of like boosted up artificially because of that. So there's a whole load of factors.
Yeah, but the best thing is I paid £4.48 for it.
Nice.
Oh, sorry, £4.98.
Yeah. I look at my my Silent Hill 4 case, and it still has the $19.99 used tag on it, but I could sell it now for like $100 something.
Crazy, isn't it? It's weird. It's so weird.
Yeah, I'm happy though. Like when I bought that game, I was saving it from going in the garbage basically because nobody cared about Silent Hill. Even like way back then, it didn't gain the prestige. It wasn't one of those like top tier games because the PS2 was still new-ish, and people would rather play like God of War 2 or something like that. And so I was like, well, I'll make sure I own at least one of these games at least because it's cheap and it's a series I enjoy and I'm going to be a big fan of it for a very long time. Might as well just collect them all. And now it's like I'm sitting on actual gold.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah, it's one of the things where I very much doubt you'll ever be a millionaire from it. But yeah, you can you take a look one day, maybe 10 years after you bought it, and suddenly you're like, oh, actually. That's more than what I paid for it.
Yep.
It's like a buddy of mine. He collects and then he sells. He does it so, like for example, he bought all the He-Man figures from those times. He bought a complete set of them, unpunched, flat, brand new, sealed action figures. That means like the part where you put the action figure on the little stand, so it's like it goes like this and it hangs there at the store. That part was not punched, so it's flat. That's how fresh and new these were. He bought all of them. He held on to them for like 3-4 months, and then he sells them again for a profit. Just resells them. Lets somebody else have the collection. Keeps it, preserves it, but then passes it on, but for a profit. Which I think is like a really mature way of looking at collection. Besides literally just hoarding games.
Yeah, I just
but
wouldn't
actually
be able
like
to let anything go. I'd be like, no, this is my precious.
Yeah, but like actually making sure that other people get to enjoy them as well. That takes some kind of something. I don't know what word that would be, but I always respected that. I'm not selling my shit though because it's mine. But I'm not saying I'm a better person for knowing this man. No, I'm definitely holding on to it. But that's why I bought 2 copies of Silent Hill Shattered Memories, and I bought 2 copies of Ghost in the Shell Standalone Complex, and I bought 2 copies of this and that or whatever whenever I could. So I'm keeping one of them, and it's going to be the better one.
It doesn't hurt. See, I was lucky enough to when I got my first proper job out of university, I kind of had a little bit of spending money for a little while because I didn't actually have to spend on anything important like life stuff. So I did pick up a lot of these games that now actually, I mean, I'm not going to make any money because I'm not going to be bothering to sell them. But like, I've saved so much. If I were trying to get hold of them now, there would be a nightmare to try and find them. Like Silent Hill Origins, I think I paid like 20 quid for. I don't even know what it is now. And the funny thing is, this is the inferior port, by the way.
Yeah, the PSP version is better, isn't it?
The PSP version is better, but God knows if I've got PSP knocking around in storage. I don't think I do.
I have that, and I have the PSP version. So
nice.
And I have the PS2 version.
I have Spider-Man 2 on UMD.
I have the first season of Family Guy on UMD, so
nice.
God. Fucking UMD.
Yeah.
Was it Universal Media Disc, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't a bad idea. It's
No,
just
it
that
wasn't.
nobody was going to use disc systems when this stuff here was just going to play it all on streaming anyway.
Yeah. There's no point, is there?
No.
You have to just like cult all UMDs around.
I did that too, though. I used to work out of the city, so I was like lived here and I worked in the capital, and I had a mailman's bag or whatever with my PSP in, or my PS Vita. No, the PSP in there, and all my UMDs like stacked and organized in there, and I would just like ride the bus, open the flap, pull out the PSP, and just watching my movies, trying to validate my purchase.
I'll never forget the first time I loaded up Grand Theft Auto not Vice City Stories, just Liberty City Stories on the PSP, and you could play custom soundtrack radio from the MP3s on your PSP. I was like,
Awesome.
I've arrived in the future.
The future is here, and I'm a part of it.
Yeah, man. The past. What a wonderful time to bask in.
He said the thing. Nice.
That one hurt.
Let me just let me.
I have a headache.
Uh,
Nice and water.
see,
Just before we
what the
actually-
audience doesn't know is that this hour is basically just for me to figure out a way to work the movie title into a conversation.
Yeah, that's basically what the intro is. Also, before we push on, if you haven't played Devotion yet, play it. It's the best game of the year so far.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd concur.
For
It's
me,
very
Thank you,
anyway.
Mr.
very
Red
good.
Candle.
Anyway, it's my favorite game of the year so far. Forgot to say that.
Okay, well then we are moving on to Baskin, which was Matt's choice.
Yes. Could you tell?
I can tell.
I like weird shit. There's literal weird shit in this as well.
Part of the fun of this whole thing is experiencing a different horizon. Not even like expanding new horizons. Like here's
Just
my horizon, and then Matt's movie puts me on this over here. Like there's this whole gulf between where I'm at and where he's at, and I'm struggling to put the two together.
It's
Yeah.
great, isn't it? Italian cinema. It's not Italian, but it could be an Italian film. There's
Why
lots
did
of
you pick
Italian
this movie, Matt? Apart from, as we've said, it's
because I love it.
Horizon.
I really like it. It's I really like surreal horror. I always really enjoy, and again, this actually ties into Devotion. Devotion does the whole surreal horror very well, and there's a good moment in the film where a character is basically describing the type of nightmares and dreams that I not often I used to have them more, but I still have them occasionally. And there's a moment in Devotion which is basically like one of those nightmares where it's like you're in a nightmare. Everything's kind of normal, but you're scared of something and you know something is wrong, and knowing that there is something wrong, it just fills you with such oh, there he's gone. He's gone again.
It's too much.
It's all the terror. He's gone. Is he back? I'll wait until he's back, and then I shall monologue further. He's back. But yeah, it's knowing having that feeling that something is wrong it instills you so much fear to the point where you just don't even want to look. Devotion does it very well in the opening scene when you're just sat and watching the TV, and the hallway that leads to your daughter's room is just black. It's just dark and there's low lights on, and I was instantly unsettled playing that because I've had nightmares where one that reoccurs is I'm in my home and none of the lights work, but the TV turns on and all the electronics work except the lights. There's no one else in the house besides me, and so I'm like, well, I should sit in the lounge then, because the TV's on and that's great. But then I just get this feeling of dread that something is wrong and something is going to happen. And that's the character of Arda describes basically that very sort of dream. And I love horror and horror media in general that captures that surrealistic, dreamlike logic, which this film is absolutely brimming of. Love it. It's very artsy farty in that regards for me, which is why I like a lot of David Lynch stuff because it's dreamlike and has dream logic, which is why I like Lost Highway. But at the same time, when it turns violent in Baskin, it's it's violent. And what really impressed me is that it's a scene that when watching it again, I realized was not even in focus a lot of the time. There is one scene which we'll get to later that I was wincing again watching it. But when me and Kitty watched it for the first time, we were basically screaming because it's like, it's horrible, it's horrible. It made my stomach hurt. I felt like genuinely disgusted, and that's when I realized I love this movie. It's a film that I'm interested in. I love the story. I love the world it's created and the dreamlike nature of it, and it also had violence I've been watching horror films most of my life since I was about 5.
That's a lot.
It's a lot of time, and it was amazing that a film was able to come out that was still able to impact me that way. It's always great. Same with games as well. It's always great when something can impact me like that and have a lasting impression, despite all the countless shit I've watched or played. But yeah, I liked it, and also because I think it's as close to like a Silent Hill like film as you can possibly get without being Silent Hill, just because of the way the story unfolds and the look of the world and how it's almost a literal descent into hell.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching because I remembered that you kind of primed us with that.
Yeah,
so I had that in the back of my head while watching it, and yeah, I could totally see where you're coming from with that. I think that kind of that focus on dream logic and kind of the constant unsettling feeling of not knowing what you're afraid of, but feeling afraid. That tension is, I mean, going back to things like Silent Hill. I mean, that's what it's kind of built on. Is this idea of dream logic, things in weird places, kind of like the whole surreal imagery, and coupling that with the horror of, I guess, for want of a better word, mutilation, gore, kind of those elements as well. Kind of, the dream slides into a bad dream, and you can never quite put your finger on where exactly that happened. With a good thing, something that kind of manages it well. And I do feel that this movie as well has that very kind of like descent, and you do feel that, I mean, even to the point where physically we go down the bowels of this building into, well, presumably, because it's supposed to be a police station that it happens in, or an old abandoned police station.
It was the police station in the Ottoman days.
Yeah, so it looked almost like that would be where the cells were, for want of a better word. Like the kind of the jail where they throw people in. So that whole kind of like, that's where we go down to. We go down to the bottom of everything. Like that's where the darkness happens. But it's a slide down.
Yeah, never should have gone down there. The one character, it's
really shouldn't have gone down there.
It's Yavaz who's like, I ain't going down there. It's dark as shit. I think that's a direct quote. He's like, it's dark as shit, boss. I'm not going down.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, you stay up here then. And then the other character's like, yeah, I'm gonna go down as well. He's like, oh, fuck's sake.
Yeah, I'm not standing for myself with a flashlight. Just
it's like, oh, okay then.
Yeah.
I because obviously this is my second time watching it. So I was keeping an eye out. I was watching out for things, little hints, and I think there are a couple of little moments that I think, especially when you've seen the ending, that are like subtle, very subtle hints. Especially with certain characters, almost like this is getting ahead, but they're listed as the frog hunters, that weird group of locals that they run into. And it's almost like when the mother of the family, whatever they are, says to them, maybe you should rest. It's almost like don't go yet. You don't want to go. Like, it's almost like she's trying to warn them. And I feel like everything that leads up to them going into the building is almost like a test. I think
they keep failing for one.
They fail every time.
with
fail everything.
Well, I guess we're into spoiler territory now because we're talking about the movie anyway.
Yeah.
But there is definitely a kind of a cyclical aspect to it. Not just in the fact that perhaps the movie is going to continue on doing the same thing over and over again, but also inside the movie, the main character consistently keeps returning to a dream and coming out of it, returning to a dream. So there's this whole idea of kind of going round in repetitions and circles. Yeah. And I mean, I would like to watch it again as well, looking for the same kind of things, because there are things that, as I think back on the movie now, reflecting on those things, they make me question. I don't know if I should save it for later, if we get into the plot a bit first, because I've got some heavy ideas.
Okay.
Well, I'd like to bring something up real quick then, if you don't mind, because I had this idea when I was watching it. There are a lot of frogs, and I'm like, what the heck with the frogs, right? Yeah. I was looking up specifically frogs and like Turkish symbology or symbolism or whatever. I don't know if this is specifically Turkish, but just a quick Google search. It says
it is a
the frog
film,
represents feminine energy, ease in transition, emotional and spiritual cleansing, and exploring life in all its wonder. Like that transition and spiritual cleansing bit. I think are relevant to this movie
Mm.
because the frog hunters, they knew what not to do. And they were the ones with all the frogs, which to me, I think that small bit I'm reading here and the movie might indicate that they were the ones who they just knew what's up. You know, they
think so, for
they
sure.
kept themselves clean. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know if you
Like-
guys had the same reaction, but there is a line of dialogue delivered by the little girl in that movie
in French,
that is
isn't it?
not subtitled.
Yeah,
So-
yeah, I think it's in French. I think it's in
Yeah,
French.
yeah, it sounded kind of vaguely French. I'm not 100% sure, but what I did was I paused the movie and I googled what did the little girl say in Baskin.
Oh, really?
And apparently, I mean, I don't know how true this is, but from what I can gather, other people have watched the movie in a dub of sorts, and because
Yeah,
I
I
watched
dub.
it in original language with subs. I guess we all did, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
original language
Yeah.
with English
Yeah.
subs.
But apparently someone had watched a dubbed version, and that line was also too dubbed, and the line is apparently, let me get it for you. Tonight, two worlds will merge into one, which is something that is a big theme, and is constantly kind of referenced by the characters. So yeah, I would say they definitely have kind of knowledge of what is afoot, for want of a better word. They definitely kind of know what's up, and the whole giving them a hint of maybe you do want to rest here is definitely them knowing the score.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
like rest here by the bonfire.
Yeah,
So do you want some frogs?
Yeah,
and
Some frogs
they definitely have a frog leg up on what's going on.
oh yeah,
Goddamn frogs.
nice.
Well, because again, like I said, I was looking for stuff, and one of the first hints of the cyclical nature is very early on when I can't remember the character's name. He drives
the driver.
the van. I think it's Sefi.
Yeah, yeah,
Seffi.
Seffi, something like that.
He's in the bathroom because he vomits very early on, and he sees the frog in where the soap should be, and it's after he sees the frog that he looks up at the mirror and has that moment of realization and just starts screaming, and I think that plays into it. But I mean, in terms of setup, it's what I like about it actually. In terms of setup, it's really simple. It's about a group of 5 police officers in Turkey that respond to a 4455, I think is the radio call, in the town of it's a small town that they mention.
Oh yeah, I remember. Yeah, it began with like I think, or L.
Yeah,
Something like that.
Yeah, it was
The
not
area, the name of the
it didn't
area.
sound like how it was spelled.
yeah. Oh, I can't find it, but yeah, it's this small area of like a small town, and there's heard basically bad rumors about it. So which is that's a good horror hook, and it's like, oh, it's a town. I've heard like all strange juju. And yeah, they go there, they crash, and they still go to the building, and that's really the setup, is just 5 officers responding to a call. And then it's just a descent into just insanity and basically hell.
I'd like to say that as soon as one of them said, "Oh, what is that smell?" we leave. Sorry, you leave. Get a hazmat suit. Get a hazmat team. You know, you do something where you either wait till daybreak or something before you go in that place. I know the smell won't be any better, but just really think about what you're getting into before you walk into a place that has no noise,
Yeah.
a terrible smell, obvious gore hanging from like hair or whatever from the ceiling and such.
Gross.
You just whoever's in there, whatever happened, it's over. You can't save it. Get the fuck out.
Yeah,
And then roll credits, and then you wouldn't have a movie. So
should we just go and sit with the frog people again? Let's go and sit with the frog people.
yeah, right.
Credits roll.
It does make you wonder because obviously they enter the building because there is a police car outside which is empty. So that does make you wonder, for the purposes of this, for want of a better word, ritual that is going to be happening on this very special Juju night where like worlds cross over or whatever. Maybe they found a way to ensnare a policeman that would then ensnare more policemen to get them the numbers they needed for this thing or something, because he's banging his head over and over again. But I did notice that once they kind of like once the person who's with him, it's the driver, isn't it? Yeah, I forget his name again.
Seffi, yeah.
Once he sees all the bad stuff, and gets taken, that police officer starts laughing.
Yeah, it's a creepy laugh as well.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, so is he like one of them or something?
Yeah, or is he just gone
Or is he
completely
like
mad?
been completely like. But I want to talk about the other laughing guy before we move on too further. He's
Laughing
my
frog man.
favorite in the entire movie.
Did you have an accident? Did you fall in the lake?
Yeah, didn't you fall in the lake? Ha ha ha! And I'm like, and then it's even funnier with the idea of the fact that this might be not the first time around. That line has added meaning now.
Yeah.
He's just laughing at the fact that they are kind of doomed to continually repeat it or whatever.
It's great, like, because again, like, because of the cyclical nature, I was watching it again and I was trying to figure out, I was like, right, okay, are they in the first cycle here, or is this the multiple ones? When does the cycle begin? Is it when they leave the cafe? And I don't think I think when the film starts, they're already there. I think that's it. Like, I think they're because straight away they're almost being like get challenged and almost tested, which is what I think, because is the moment when it's as because what's it, they're all having like a very blokey bloke talk about having sex with chickens, which I won't lie, the story they're all telling, like, it is quite funny, and it is funny, and it because it all feels very natural, and it does feel like they're all just friends.
I'm not one to use the word banter because I hate it as a word, but it gets overused. But they have like a comradeship and a kind of like a funny. And I was totally on board with them. I was even kind of forgiving of the kind of like more coarse aspects of them until they like started fights with the stuff. I was like, that's not cool.
Yeah,
I wasn't cool with that at all. I was like, okay, this guy, he set up a really funny joke, and now he's going to gaslight this innocent young man into a fight. So I was cool when, like, the older dude, I can't remember any of their names except I can't remember any of their names.
Ramsey, the chief.
Ramsey, that's right.
We have Negan.
Pulls the dude's gun away and says, "I want to see what you want to do, what you're going to do to this kid."
Basically, like, almost. I don't know if he was goading him on or like calling his bluff almost. He was like, "Well, go on then, tough guy."
Yeah, it's like if you're gonna say, if you put up or shut up, basically.
Yeah, and he makes the point of taking his gun.
He takes his gun away, but he still kind of like leaves him open to beat on the guy. So like no one, I mean, arguably the only character who maybe kind of quote unquote like clean or pure, I guess, is the young guy.
Is Arda, yeah. He doesn't seem. He just seems like doesn't seem particularly cool with it. He's not even actually in shot when that's happening, I don't think. I think he's outside, and then obviously Sephi starts screaming in the bathroom.
Yeah,
he remembers.
Yeah, he knows what's gonna come next, and he's got a cracking headache.
Yep. But yeah, when that's all kind of devolving down, they're all fighting. Like, it keeps cutting back to the meat that's just burning, and I don't know if it's purposely symbolic.
You can read into anything, but like what I took it to mean, especially when the movie had ended, because I was thinking, what was the whole meat thing about? What have I written? I wrote, blindsides you with the unease. There's all this meat stuff going on. So the meat is very clearly mystery meat. It's probably people meat. We don't want to know where the meat came from. It came in a bucket, delivered by one of those like robed individuals.
I think it comes from the robed individual. I think it's him.
So they might be eating themselves. We might have a kind of an Ouroboros situation going on. That's cool. But I also, like, with the hindsight of the movie and everything else, I mean, the fact that we kind of, it takes on this hellish aspect. The fact that it was burned at the end made me think in terms of, like, flames of judgment.
Yeah, like, you failed.
The flesh was tested and was destroyed or whatever. Yeah.
But that's things like, despite watching them like do this horrible thing, like, I still like the characters, like, because they're not perfect. I wasn't okay with them doing that, like, at all. But obviously it's like what they go through later is like, oh, yeah. I mean, what they did was shit. That is a police officer, overstepping the fucking mark. But then there's losing your eyes, and but there's like the great moment when they're in the van and they're all just listening to music, singing along, like, and rapping. Yeah, it's what it does is it basically you end up forgetting about what they've just done. Like, oh, these guys are fun. Oh, they're having fun. Look at them. They're all friends, and it's a great way to show the camaraderie. I think is what it's trying to do. That they are friends. That they're colleagues, but they are friends. Which obviously then makes some of it a bit harder to watch later on. But it's it's great because there's sort of a slow burn, but at the same time it it is and it isn't because all the weird stuff happens immediately basically because we start with a dream. We start with Arda's nightmare, which is the type of nightmare I was discussing earlier, where I don't not the moaning of my parents, but more so it's all dark. The TV's on. That's the only thing that works, and I know there's something in this house with me, and that's it.
Mm.
But the weird stuff like just happens immediately. The unease is there almost immediately. Seffi has the
What I think the movie does well is that we spend a lot of time with that group of people at the beginning.
Mm.
I was checking the time, and I think I mentioned on Facebook chat to you guys that I was sort of halfway through the movie, and no real bad shit had actually happened then compared to what was coming. I kind of had a sense that there was going to be some bad shit later. And I was easily halfway through the movie. So it's important, like, if you want people to care about your characters, to feel when all the bad shit happens to them, you have to spend this time with them and set them up.
Yeah.
And you can have characters who are, not good people, but you can still make them likable because we spend enough time with them, we'll see all the aspects of their character. They won't be one-dimensional.
Yeah, exactly. And you have to, yeah, exactly. You have to have the audience spend time with these characters because if it all just kicks off straight away, if like Seffi had gone into that bathroom and just immediately died, you're like, oh, I guess he's dead. That guy's dead. Oh no, when I mean, we don't see him die, but we don't have to see him die. He's probably got I don't say the scariest death, but it's the fact because you don't see, all you hear is him screaming. It's like that's enough, as he's just dogpiled by things.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like it's all
We'll get on to
uneasy script for
cinematography,
that.
but that shot was amazing, by the way.
I love that shot.
The
There's a
fact it
couple
turns
really
upside down as he's being grabbed.
It's great.
Mwah.
It's beautiful. And the film did not have a large budget either. Film had a budget of what was it? Around $350,000, and they shot it in 28 nights. No J shots.
28
And
nights later.
yeah. Our permits were. So I was reading this. The director said our permits were iffy at times, so we were always stressed about the authorities finding out what the hell we were doing in some of our crazy locations. We had
Yeah.
naked people on set in the most conservative areas of town. That was a constant stress. Also, the time limitations for certain scenes made them really difficult, and that single underwater shot cost us almost half a night. Jesus Christ. It's amazing they had it's so I think well made as well. Especially like for the budget. I would not have realized it was such low budget.
Yeah, we went on holiday to Turkey a couple of years ago, and I will say it's not okay. It was a nice country. I enjoyed being there.
Yeah.
It's a very conflicted country because on one hand we were there as tourists, and so there was this whole kind of tourist market of hotels, alcohol, etc., all of this stuff, and yet it's also an Islamic country, and they're very conservative. I mean, from our hotel, we could see and hear a mosque, but yeah, they were serving alcohol, and it's just this kind of like strange. Yeah, it's this mixture of the two different types of culture, and so I would imagine to make this kind of film in Turkey would be
Difficult.
Pumpkin Blaze in the chat, very very pretty sunsets, but I would imagine to film this kind of thing was extra kind of like, yeesh. I hope we don't get like I hope they don't choose today for a set visit kind of thing.
Yeah, like Jesus Christ, like I mean, I imagine that must have been in the abandoned building they were shooting in. Then, I mean, I think obviously the latter half of the film is on the set. Obviously, the basement or the stop before hell, I think you could call it as well, because as they say, they are the shepherds.
Yeah.
But obviously, I think that building is just
Some really
abandoned village.
quotable lines in this movie, by the way. Lines I'm going to be thinking about for a long time.
I think one of my favourites is from Arda when he's talking about his dream to Ramsey and just says, "I think I'm still dreaming." He just has that that one moment when he just says, "I think I'm still dreaming." So, oh no, I think I'm still asleep, or something. He says something like he intimates that he thinks he is still in a dream world.
Is that when he's first explaining his kind of childhood experience to is it Remy? Remy?
Ramsey, yeah.
That's also the
Turkish.
time when they choose to have him highlight the fact that the other characters aren't in the room.
Oh, that's great. Let's look around.
That's a great addition of dreams, because dreams are often like that. You kind of like, you know, you're not aware of something until someone makes you aware of it, and then suddenly it was there the whole time, and you're freaking out. Kind of weirdness.
Yeah, because it's each time there's a moment where he'd black out or you know is knocked unconscious, or that's when it goes back to the cafe and he's talking to Ramsey again. And the first time is great because they're all there, all of them there. Two of them are watching TV. Seffi is Seffi, just looking miserable, and hungover. And he's talking to Ramsey, and then I think as Ramsey says like you know we're the only two here, right? Because no, he's saying that something has called us. Maybe it was just us. Maybe it was everyone.
He has a line that is something along the lines of, it might be that dream sequence or it might be the next one where they're back in the canteen again. But he says, tonight we're at a crossroads, we were summoned. And that immediately made me think of, there's a line in Silent Hill 1 towards the end of the game where Harry Mason says, "I'm being summoned."
Yeah.
And I was just, like, ding, 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 ding.
Great. I think that's the second time they go back to the diner, I think.
Yeah.
It's when it basically, again, very Silent Hill. I mean, jumping all over the place. There's some great moments where it reminded me of one of my favorite parts of the first Silent Hill game, which is Nowhere, when it's like reality is falling apart. The reality of this world that Alessa has created is falling apart. That she's unknowingly created, but where the door to I can't remember the exact layout, but you could say like the door to the basement of the hospital now leads to a schoolroom, and this room now leads to Alessa's room, and nothing makes sense anymore. And there's no map because there's that moment where they're running through the tunnels, and he's running his handle on the wall, and suddenly he's back in his childhood home. And I love that. I love that shit. I love all that dream imagery. But I suppose we should really kind of explain what happens on the lead up to those dream sequences when they have an interesting. They stop because they see a naked person run across the road, don't they? Initially,
yeah, but it doesn't cause them to crash or anything. No. It just causes them to stop and go, "Hey, what the fuck?"
Yeah, and then they start, and they're obviously already spooked.
Mm-hmm.
And there's all the writing.
I think of the two of us, or the three of us, I might be one of the only one of us here who actually has driven on long, dark, unlit roads. And it doesn't even matter what kind of mood you're in. If it's like 1 a.m. and you're just driving with only your headlights to light your way,
yeah,
it's spooky. Even without naked people, just by itself.
Yeah, I've been
anything.
Yeah, I've been in cars.
Anything naked people
drive,
would probably make it feel a bit more, less eerie.
Because this whole thing is that because you're thinking, oh, you're so fixed on getting to location and it's dark, and all of a sudden it's such strange little things like that can make you instantly feel unsafe. It's like someone was here. It's like, yeah, but they're gone. I've driven past them, but there's someone else. Oh, there's stuff in the woods. So of course there's stuff in the woods, but there's that weird instinctive thing that your brain does that goes, but there's stuff in the woods. Oh, look at the woods. No, I'm not scared. Oh god, now I'm scared. What was that? Oh god. And your brain does silly things like that. So yeah, it makes sense why they would be spooked that someone ran past the van and didn't come back.
Yeah.
And it's great because they get back into the van and they're not chatting, they're not laughing anymore, and they look worried. And I think it plays back to the dream, the nightmare that Arda mentions, where he says that he knows that something he's terrified because he knows something is wrong in the dream, and I think that's how they're all starting to feel before they crash. When they hit someone who will be important come the end of the film. They crash, and that's when we get the first the first sequence back at the diner, which is a really good shot when blood starts coming out of everywhere, and then he falls back into like a pool of water, and there's like the large hands stretching out to pull him out. It's just little subtle little things. It's the dialogue's great. I like dialogue in films and horror films when the characters are aware something is wrong. And like, something's wrong, right? I've got to keep going because it's our job. Like, for them anyway, it's their job. They have to go. They have to respond to the call because there could be officers in danger. Even if they are terrified, they have, it's their job and they've got to do it. And but they know something is wrong. They do not want to be there. They look horrified the second they go in.
I think that's why he keeps returning to the diner as well. Apart from the fact that he might literally still be returning to the diner, in a more metaphysical sense, is because it reminds me actually of Twin Peaks, the end of season 3, and I won't go into details because although it's spoilers of the damned, Twin Peaks is sacred and you should all watch it for the first time clean. But
yes,
the ending of Twin Peaks season 3 has a kind of a thing going back to, like we said about Lynch and the surreal nature and dreamlike quality, trying to reassert the dream, especially in the face of very bad things happening. Like, that's why he constantly goes back to it. And at the end of Twin Peaks season 3, a character is struggling to reassert logic in the face of pure darkness. And it's that kind of thing where you keep returning there, but you can only hold on to it for less and less each time, and then it starts to get pulled away. You know, the blood comes out. The second time they go back, there's that beautiful shot where he starts moving backwards.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, and it's perfect. It's because that's what it's like. You're clinging. You're trying to cling on to the safe, the familiar, and you just can't hold on to it. It just crumbles in your hands. Yeah. Especially in a dream. Yeah,
and obviously because we gradually find out that Boss Ramsey is, or as we both came up with on our own without even discussing it, Turkish Jeffrey Dean Morgan, which we had not discussed it beforehand.
No,
and I mentioned it
that's
before
why I laughed so much at the start, because I had that in my notes.
But obviously we find out he is his guardian, isn't he? He's we find out his uncle put him in his care. So again, that's probably why he is the constant in the cafe sequences, because that is that's his guardian, that's his safety blanket almost.
He seems to be the most. He has the most kind of like authoritarian, like of all of them. He seems the most level-headed, the most calm, the most in charge, and I don't, because I mean we'll get onto themes at the end once we've kind of summed up the entire plot, but I don't think it's a coincidence that he is the only person who's holding a tasbih, like a prayer beads.
Yeah,
and he's constantly he's moving them around in his hand, and I think, you know, the fact that he may well be the key to salvation.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a mistake. I think that's important. And
it feels like everything that there's nothing that's just in there because the director thought that'd be cool.
Yeah,
you know, it's something like, oh yeah, but then we'll put like an upside down crucifix in the background because it's metal.
Maybe at the end. We'll get it at the ending.
But, it feels like it's, and I think that happens with a lot of films that are the lower budget like this as well. Like, everything is precise. If it's in there, it's like there's usually a reason for it. Like, if it's a focal point, it's there for a reason. Or the actors bring stuff in as well, because obviously the actor that plays the father apparently brought a lot to it as well. Like, made suggestions, and it seemed like the director was, you know, open to the actors being creative and stuff. But he also has, obviously, okay, spoilers, obviously they all die horribly. He probably has the most dignified death as well, because he's, I mean, it's horrible anyway. He gets his throat butchered, but
he faces it with courage, and I mean, that's a quality that you can kind of appreciate. He also tries to deflect it from is it Arda? Arla?
Yeah, Arda,
yeah. By kind of turning their attention onto him instead. So, you know, yeah, I can see that for sure.
Yeah, yeah, because the rest of them. I mean, he still doesn't have a nice death because Jesus Christ, getting your throat cut can't. Well, like, then again, obviously in films and that, it's it's always really nice saying everyone chokes, but pretty sure it's lots of different people have told me that apparently, if your throat is cut right, you're not awake for very long. Like, it's pretty quick.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
it's just that sudden pressure, that release of pressure, I think. But so yeah, he probably does actually have the nicest death of all of them. But yeah, so they obviously they crash because they see someone. No, I don't want to reveal in the road. And met with the frog family, as we were calling them, or the frog hunters is what that's what they're listed in the credits as, the frog hunters. They meet the frog hunters and are then not led. They inquire about the building, don't they?
Yeah.
Well, it kind of commandeered this guy to lead them to it, who then just like, fuck you coppers, as he runs away. It's like, I'm not going in there.
He runs off saying like "fucking cops" or something.
Yeah,
Fucking
he had the right
police.
idea.
Yeah, I'd have gotten the fuck out of there as well. Like, no, I'm not going in that building. I don't even believe in like supernatural shit. I'm not going in that building. Like, fuck off. Could be anyone hiding in there. But I think another way it kind of reminds me of Silent Hill actually is the fact that like all the technology doesn't work. So their radio, they get the radio call, but once they start approaching, the radio just stops working, and the police cruiser that they find doesn't work. Nothing in the car works. Which could either be because it's weird, spooky dream logic, or maybe the car's been there a lot longer. But then I'm pretty sure the car isn't there in one of the final shots. So I think maybe your idea of them being summoned and it being a trap is probably holds water. Because the final shot when their character leaves the building, the car isn't there anymore. I couldn't see it. I couldn't see the police
I
cruiser.
didn't even look for that.
It is very dark and washed in red, but I couldn't see a police cruiser. So, but I mean, we're kind of going by the numbers in terms of plot synopsis because it is so oddly simple, but has so much more going on. But they go to this building and shit's fucked up. It's really bad.
There's been a sale on saran wrap.
Yep.
Let's just cover everything in saran wrap. It's cheap.
Either that or bin bags. There's people with like bin bag wrapped around their head. They found a police officer slamming his head against the wall, who's just sobbing. And it's actually, that's one of my there's something really creepy about just it's their reaction of when they go, where's your unit? Where's your unit? And he slowly just points, and there's just a hat by the doorway leading downstairs, and that didn't creep me out as much. It's just their reaction of they look fucking terrified. Oh, we don't want to go down there. They know something's wrong, but they're not quite sure what. Just like a nightmare.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, they meet lots of friendly people having sex. I want to say some of them are, some of them aren't.
It's really kind of hard to tell.
Yeah, there's lots of flesh, and
there's a lot of just moving, moving.
But I mean,
Blood,
that
flesh.
plays into that kind of Silent Hill aspect of the whole kind of juddering movements, and you can't quite make out exactly what is what.
Who's a friendly? Who's an enemy? Are they all enemies? Are they there willingly? We don't know. But yeah, there's lots of saran wrap, like you were saying. They're dead, wrapped in plastic, and it's great. It's like, again, a lesser film would have played into more horror tropes, I think, and they do play into horror tropes, like the character's being distracted by a person they think they have to help, and then getting bonked on the head by a big hulking bastard behind them. But I think it still manages to. It does it so simply and so effectively that you kind of forgive it for any kind of trope it uses. At least for me.
I think the fact that we spend time at the start with the characters, we get a general unease that is persistent throughout and ramps up. I think just makes it. And the beautiful thing about this movie, the thing I really like about it the most actually, is it is incredibly simple, but that's because it all the kind of the extra stuff is there, and you can think about it. Like there's whole kinds of ambiguity as to what does this mean, what is, are they trapped, blah blah blah, all this kind of thing. You can read into that, but that's not the focus. It's kind of, we're just on a bad dream. We're having a bad dream, and we need to follow it to the end.
And you know how bad dreams usually get worse. Well, it definitely gets worse. I like that as well, that when they finally stumble across stuff and they see all these horrific things, it's not that as I was saying, like a lesser film of horror tropes. It's not that trope of, oh, one of them goes missing and then they spend the next 15 minutes looking for them. It's one of them gets killed, then another one gets hit on the head with a sledgehammer, then it all breaks down and they all get captured. Like that, it breaks down, and these cops that at the beginning, very not laddish, but they're very like, oh, we're tough, suddenly screaming and running for their lives. And there's a moment I really like his Arda, poor old Arda, stumbles across, think they're cutting meat or eating it or humping it or doing all three at the same time. One of them, I think, no, someone screams somewhere else, so they turn around, and instead of like the video game or Hollywood fashion, he like guns them down. He just wildly shoots his gun in the air and runs away. Like, he's so enwrapped in fear that he tries to fire off a couple of accurate rounds and just keeps pulling the trigger, and it's just flying all over the place, and then just runs because you would. I don't care how much training you've got in a situation like that. That training goes out the fucking window. So I don't know what I'm seeing. We've seen all this crazy shit leading into it, and now there's deformed, maybe demonic people chasing me with a meat cleaver, and I don't know if they're gonna fuck me, kill me, eat me, or all three, and I don't know in which order. So yeah, it breaks down so well, so quickly. And the first death is poor old Sephi, who gets like surrounded by them, doesn't he? Because he sees the frog. That's it. He sees the frog. Sees the frog, leaves the bloodied police officer, and just kind of almost like entranced, follows the frog in. Is surrounded, and that's when it leads to the shot you were saying, Tom, when it as he's being picked up by them all, the camera just like shifts and moves around, and he just screams, and it's horrifying. It's a real guttural, believable panic scream, and we never see him again. We see the others, we never see him again.
That's
unless
true.
he's the one.
Even the guy who gets bonked on the head, we see him again briefly.
Yeah, Apo. Yeah, Apo. I remember most of the names. Yeah, I remember all the names. It's Remzi, Arda, Yavaz, Apo, and Sephi. I can't remember his name, but
you got it right.
Yeah,
you got it close enough. Nothing else.
Of course, Apo doesn't have the guts to stick around to the end.
Oh, that's the scene. That's the scene. Oh.
Yeah.
That gave me a stomachache.
I guess
seriously.
we're on to that scene right now. Yeah.
Yep. They get captured.
They all get captured in various kind of ways, and
it's like this is the 40 minutes that made up the point of the movie, because it's like a big ceremony, and it takes a while. So I was like using my mouse, like, how much time is left in this movie? We're gonna do this for the rest of the movie, huh? All right.
and it's a wild ride.
I was gonna say that, like, because we were talking about dreams and nightmares and stuff, and I've talked about this on the podcast before. I've had nightmares like this kind of thing, and in the nightmare, just to cut it real short, eventually I got to the point where even in my nightmares, I've always felt protected. I've always felt like nothing could hurt me.
Yeah, and
I walked through Event Horizon levels of gore and brutality, feeling no fear whatsoever.
Like nice.
Yeah,
nice.
You're using a pencil. That's crazy. John Wick does that. Anyway, and I keep going. I love what you do with the place. Exactly. Like, even like in fist fights and dreams, I will definitely turn into Neo from the Matrix, even though I have no idea what I'm doing. My one arm will block everything. I can dodge bullets. Nothing will ever touch me. And I'm not saying I'm special. It's just like, I think my brain is just wired to the point where it's like, none of this is real. So you roll a saving throw on all illusion checks, and you max out 20s every single time. So when I'm watching this ceremony thing, I'm kind of like, what's going to happen next? Okay, eyeballs, sure, okay. Guts, cool. All right. I know that I'm deflating the experience, and I'm sorry. It's just like that's what I got from it. I was waiting for the point. It's kind of like if an edgy teenager was telling me a story, and I'm not insinuating the director is an edgy teenager, but if an edgy teenager was just like, and then there was blood, and then there was gore, and then there was sadness, and then there was more gore, and then it's like, but what's the point of the story? And then there was more blood, and then there was more gore, and then there was more of this. It's like, okay, I get it. I'm done then. Oh, but the point is, then this thing happens. Like, oh, okay, cool. Thanks for your story. That's just kind of how I was through most of that. So I guess the point I was coming up with was that, like, because of my experiences with dreams and nightmares, I think that sort of shielded me from any impact on this movie. However, I do think the father character was really cool.
Oh, he's great.
And he was cast specifically because he had that no hair skin disorder where he has no eyebrows or nothing. I read about that on the Amazon trivia thing.
Yeah, I can't remember it hasn't even got a name by the looks of it. It's just saying that it's just a rare skin condition. But yeah, he was great.
It's happened enough times on the podcast now that we need a counter for it. But like, yeah, we've always skirted around this idea of like, is it really nice to hire people based on the fact that they look weird because they're in a horror movie and we need weird people to look? But like, it seems that this guy was very on board and contributing in the whole process, and that's really cool.
Yeah, he wore the role like a comfortable pair of pants.
Yeah, he was great. Because obviously, initially like, wow, that guy's short, and then you kind of forget about how short he is very quickly.
Because they give him a stool.
He's got a wonderful, really great presence as well, a really commanding presence, which is absolutely what he needed for the role.
Yeah, and that wasn't makeup either. That dude was built.
Yeah, he was fucking ripped. It's like, damn, it kicked my ass. Jesus Christ.
Right.
I think for me,
the One Punch Man over here.
Yeah. I think for me, the most unsettling thing about him was that, like, throughout that whole sequence towards the end, he was very kind of like, what's the word? Like, reverential. So, like, he's here to give everyone a bad day, and he's here to, like, open their minds, like, kind of, I guess, Hellraiser style to the beyond and all of the nastiness they're in. But he's very, like, caring. He takes time, I mean, apart from the kiss that we won't talk about, considering where it happens. But in general, like, the fact that he's very kind of like, he kisses them, he says, like, I'm here to help you through this. We're the shepherds, and he's very kind of like, he's one of those enemies like, I'm going to make this easy for you, and I'm going to be nice and sweet, but like,
you're gonna have fun.
Yeah,
he thinks he's helping them, doesn't he? And that I mean that's the thing is like, there's nothing in being in a situation like that. There'd be nothing more frightening than someone thinking, like, no, like, I'm doing you a favor by
this is okay.
Like,
Don't worry,
chopping your
it's
arms
going to
and
be
legs
okay.
off. Like, no, but I don't want you to. It's like, no, you'll be fine. You understand? Like, no, I don't want to understand.
Yes.
I don't want
thank
to.
you.
No, just let me go. So, that's the idea of that is that's funny. But he's got such a wonderful, commanding and regal presence, and he's got some really fucking good lines as well. Especially that again leave the film open up to the good kind of interpretation, where he's saying it was about the crossing of when two worlds meet. We are the shepherds. Open your eyes to the cosmos, and it's like because he says this isn't hell, but hell is with you. It's like,
It's not a place. It's something you carry with you.
Yeah. Are these just mad cultists, or is he some kind of demon that basically what's the word I'm looking for? Processes you before you go below or above.
Right.
The fact that he's called Baba as well, which is, it's means father, so he's essentially called father. Ties into that whole kind of the religious aspect of it in terms of whether this is what's the word, like, suffering you have to go through for sins you've committed. Perdition, kind of like, I think is the word.
Kind of like in Jacob's Ladder, which we've covered Jacob's Ladder before, haven't we?
Yeah,
yes, we have.
Oh, yeah.
Episode number 15, if memory serves.
Yeah, I've certainly done it. Yeah, it's almost like in that when they mentioned the angels, they if you don't hold on, if you continue to hold on, they might appear as demons, tormenting you, but really they're trying to help you.
Right.
It's obviously not to this extent.
Here,
where
let me
they're-
help you.
Yeah, plucking your eyes out.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like it leaves up to interpretation that it could be something similar to that, where you're basically paying for your sins before we let you go wherever it is you're going, but we are processing you. They're the administrators of the afterlife.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like the fact that it never outright tells you is why I like, because it's fun to speculate. Even though I think it does lean heavily on being some kind of strange afterlife thing because of the dreamlike nature of it, or it could just be he's still having a nightmare. Maybe he's still a kid having a nightmare, because obviously you see at the very beginning of the movie in his dream that he evidently likes police thing. He like police memorabilia, and he wants to be a police officer. Clearly, as a child, he's interested in it. So maybe it's a nightmare. I don't think it is, but yeah, I'd like that it does allow you to speculate and discuss it, and gives you enough to think either way. Although I do lean towards it being more supernaturally,
Yeah.
more purgatory, time loopy thing. But the fact that it never outright says, which I just repeat myself, but the fact it never outright says that, I think is a strength.
Yeah.
It can only
Well, like
disappoint
in
you.
my experience with it, I took it as objective reality. So when I first watched it, I was just like, this is all really happening, but none of this would make any sense.
Yeah.
Stabbing dude in the eyes. Well, he's just going to get infected and die. Like, satanic power isn't going to keep him alive. I don't know what the hell this guy's trying to do here. And then like that strange pregnancy that was over within like 3 minutes and
That was
turned
quick.
into like a big potato or something.
Or the baby from Eraserhead.
Yeah. But like through this podcast with you guys talking about how it's more of like a dream sequence, that's a much better way to look at this movie.
Yeah.
And that's what I want to say positive things. I don't want to be negative Nancy over here. Though I am deeply negative. Anyway, so
Terrible.
Make some room. I've got some negative comments in a second.
So it's a very positive way to look at the movie if you see it all as a looping dream sequence. Because like all of it is how was I going to say this? Like all the improbable things become absolutely possible in a nightmare sequence. The naked man running across the road would not be true, because where did Naked Man come from? Where's Naked Man going? Where did he come from, Cotton Eye Joe?
One knows. They just say he roams the woods at night.
That's Naked Joe. Oh, the Naked Man came from him.
Sounds payable. Mean speaking.
I thought
Did the
the
Naked
Naked
Man
Man
take you,
finally come
Chris?
to you. That's what it was. That's what's going on.
So yeah, where did Naked Man come from? Where did Naked Man go? Where did he come from, Cotton Eye Joe? And then like if you think about it, when you're running naked, barefoot in the woods, you're running on sticks, you're running on rocks, you're running on just a whole bunch of shit. It's an uncomfortable run at the best of times. So objective reality means that probably can't happen comfortably unless he's absolutely out of his mind. But even mindless people will bleed to death when they cut their feet on shit in the woods.
Trip. Like,
So,
immediately trip.
Once again, I'm just like, whatever. When dude gets stabbed in the eyes, I was like, okay, infections for sure. He's not going to make it. I don't know what that guy's trying to do because it doesn't make any sense. But if you look at it as a dream, then yes, nightmares don't make sense. They are strange dreams from the beginning to the end. So that makes the movie, like if you look at it through a filter of it's all a nightmare, it just, now I can see it.
Yeah.
Now I can see the movie. Now I can see why people thought this movie is pretty good. Because it was just a strangely edgy movie to me when I was watching it. But I will say that just like I have a commentary about the Addams Family, Morticia is a fantastic character because her charisma commands the room. No matter what room she's in, when she's in like a school, all of a sudden it's like, who's that? If you put Baba in a school, who's that?
It's like, get out of here, we told you.
Yeah, right? So I think the movie is still worth watching specifically for Baba as a character, his performance, and all that stuff. It's definitely worth watching because everything else about it to me just kind of felt like this is an extended music video. I know I said it in the Facebook chat, and I stand by it. I think if they chunked out about 50 to 70 minutes of this movie and just strung it together as one long metal music video, I think it would work better.
Well,
Well, it did start off as a short film.
Yeah,
There was
I was going to say,
short
I
film
read that it
version.
was a
Oh,
short film.
well, okay then. Yeah.
I'd be really
See? I'm
interested to
right.
see that short film.
Yeah, 2 years prior as well. That's a short turnaround. And I think the cast was something. I know same actor that played Arda is Arda in the short film as well. I'm not sure.
Okay.
about
Yeah.
the-
Actually, I forgot about reading that. That's what happened, right?
I will
yeah.
say, by the way, whoever decided to write the synopsis on Wikipedia, you are 11 out of 10 in your life, because
I know,
you've
right?
written the entire fucking thing down.
Fucking great.
I think we noticed that last week, didn't we? We flicked onto it just to take a look, and it's just
Yeah, it's a
blow
that's
by
a-
blow.
Yeah, that's a proper synopsis.
Um,
Not just and then they died. It's like, oh,
yeah, but I mean, coming back to this whole kind of ending sequence with with
oh my
Baba
God.
and his I was going to say, like, who
Entourage.
writes the service sheet for this particular service? Like,
Yeah.
tea and coffee after the the blinding and the
Blinding.
the fucking and all that kind of stuff. Oh, and can we also have a shout out, because, like, the enemy, I say enemy, the one who isn't Baba but is like lofty with the straw hair or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I
That
think
guy's
it's-
awesome, because he's walking around and he picks up and he puts the stuff where it needs to go. Like, at one
Takes the
point,
spider.
when the guy dies and there's a spider out of his mouth, he's just like,
Yeah.
"Oh, there's another spider for my spider collection."
Clear this up.
Yeah, and like there was a great motion to that character because they just kind of like walked like
Yeah,
moving around like this is the highest I'll ever be in my life. This is so cool.
Yeah,
I'm the
always
like
like-
socialite
Yeah.
of all socialites. It's awesome.
and they're always like kind of like twirling their remaining
Yeah,
hair as well.
there's straw weirdness.
Yeah, it's like your emotion, your body language does not fit here, and that's what's really unsettling.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think I just looked up that character is listed in the credits as Master Creep, the servant.
Nice.
Well named.
Master Creep. I don't the servant. Yeah, that's obvious, but I prefer Master Creep. I'm the Master Creep.
Yeah.
That's why they look so well to do. And yes, I'm the Master Creep. You are all
They
just creeps.
definitely
I'm
seem
the
to be a
Master,
master of their craft.
Master Creep.
I pick the
Yeah.
demon baby up. I take the demon baby away.
Takes stairs, don't they?
The
Yeah.
demon
Yeah.
potato.
Demon
Yep.
potato. Yeah.
Strange demon potato.
Demon
But,
potato might end up being the episode title. I'm not sure.
I mean, when because we'd mentioned the lighting before, the wonderful use of blue, orange, and red, and the combinations at times as well, and it really did feel like it was like watching an old Italian horror film at times because of the color grading and the cinematography, and it's really really good. The use of lighting is, I think, superb at times. And it really helps give it a real stylish look. Again, just despite how inexpensive it was to make. So knowing that, immediately I knew that these guys, or I don't know how many people wrote it or whatever. Immediately realized that they'd watched all the same shit I did.
Mm.
Where
Yeah.
I was like, "You've watched some of these movies," and then I definitely knew they did when the Lucio Fulci scene happens.
Yeah.
He'd have been.
That was well done too.
Yeah, it's a really good effect. If there's any kind of afterlife and he's not still a miserable prick, Lucio Fulci is smiling somewhere because he was notoriously a miserable bastard. But yeah, it's that there's one scene where someone gets their eyes stabbed out. It's like, he'd go, yes. It's like, I approve. That is good. I only ever did one eye. You did two eyes. It was only one
Yeah.
eye in all my films.
Right.
Both. And then you lick them.
Mm. Yeah, I will say, by what the red light. I mean, maybe it's just because I played Devotion recently, but that also used red light very effectively, to kind of like denote seediness and kind of like underbelly, because a lot of the streets that the character walks through to get to where their faith healer is red light coming through the windows and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, all right. I'm gonna get to my thing now, where I talk about the ceremony, as it were.
It's a nice ceremony. It's
I
lovely.
feel like I'm the kind of the conduit between Matt and Chris this time, because when I got to that sequence, and specifically the first guy who gets killed, they pull his.
Oh,
It looks like they've done a hasty job, kind of like sewing that thing up, like where he got hurt on the way down, or maybe from before. Who knows how this works?
or they just planned it. I don't know.
Yeah, but when they were pulling his guts out stuff, that definitely got to me. It made me feel sick. It made me feel. I felt
Yeah,
like
it
we
hurt,
spent
man.
enough time with the characters to feel bad for the characters, and not just like, oh, I'm just watching people get destroyed.
Yeah, made my stomach hurt
Yeah,
watching.
but then it kept going, and then the eyes went, and then the kissy eye socket thing happened, and then we're having sex, and like they're just like I guess maybe it's just me personally, but I have a kind of like it's not an aversion to torture porn and gore, but there kind of reaches a point where, to me, like there must be some kind of like little stat bar inside me, and as we go up and the stat bar gets filled, I just kind of like the effectiveness wears off, if that makes sense.
Mm.
It's kind of like, so that first character when he's being disemboweled, I genuinely I felt a bit sick watching it.
Yeah.
That doesn't usually happen to me, so I could tell that something interesting was going on.
Mm.
And then as it went on, it just kind of it lost me a little bit in the it just lost me a little bit. I love this movie. I love the ideas. I think it's a really good movie, and I would hasten to add everyone should watch it. Unless this is like really triggering for you, then don't watch this.
If you're squeamish, don't watch it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
But I will say, like, I don't know. I guess I was the punchiness of, like we said, right? We spend so much time with the characters at the start, and then when shit goes south in that building, it is
Yeah.
literally like 5 or 10 minutes. It's less than that. It's a very short sequence, like you said. And then that, like Chris, I started to feel that kind of like last chunk kind of stretch out a little bit, like it was maybe just a little bit too gratuitous, but like that's just a personal, like
No, that's
level.
fair.
So
Mm.
there'll be other people who watch that and be like, "Oh, come on, where's the decapitations and stuff?"
Yeah, they'd be like, "No, cut his head off." You're like, you are watching it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I definitely understand where you're coming from that, because
And it was satisfying when the culmination of the scene happens and Baba gets the bench.
or he gets stalled.
Yeah, that was very cathartic, because he did all the cuddy stabby stuff. So
And yeah, you're again like, you have no idea what's going on really, but you're right on board with Vada. Like, yeah, fucking kill that guy. They hit him again. Hit him
It
again.
was really messy.
Yeah,
It was very, very messy. Like, I don't think a brain and a head and a skull would shatter in quite such a pop. And it was totally went in Artist's mouth. And
yeah, the only thing I was
congratulations
thinking is
to the
shut your
actor for
fucking mouth
not
while you do
ruining
this,
the
because
scene.
Yep. Like, I love the fact as well that it's not like, because how many times in a horror film have we seen it where the character that gets one up on the slasher or the villain, and they hit them once and then run. It's like, no, he keeps hitting him until there is nothing left.
you can tell.
Yeah.
Like, I think he does it like 3 times, and then there's a point where he kind of it might have been
just
shot in slow motion. He kind of stops a bit and then makes the
Yes.
decision to carry on. And I was like, yeah, fair play.
Like, yeah, do it, yeah, fucking him. But I like the fact there's like less and less blood every time as well. Like the first one's like pour squirts everywhere, and it's like a little bit more. It's like, yeah, you just hit mush. It's like, yeah, fuck that guy, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I appreciate that, because so many times in a horror film, I hate it when they just hit the villain once with like a golf club. Like, well, that'll do it. Like, no. Kill.
Like, take the golf club and put it all the way down the esophagus.
Yeah, just don't. No, go to sleep. Or just crush your head. But as we know, that did not kill Baba, because his arm still comes up right at the end. It reaches out, and that's when we discovered that is part of the dream he has very early on at the beginning of the film. You see the hand reaching up towards the camera, and it's Baba's hand, and that's after he's crushed his skull. So it's definitely happened more than once.
Yeah, and it leads to question as well, like if this dream is truly something that happened to him as a child, like how long has he been marked for this for a long time?
Yeah,
kind of thing. Because
there's that.
some of Negan's, sorry, I'm gonna call him Negan.
Negan, yes, go Negan.
Some of Negan's dialogue is very kind of like, I protected you like for this time because of a reason, and he's, I didn't expect it to be as literal, but halfway through the movie he says, your uncle placed me under. Your uncle placed you under my care. Don't worry, I have the key to all of this. I didn't realize it was a literal fucking key. But
yeah, that's great. Because he actually says that earlier in the film when they're outside the building. He says, "Don't worry, I have the key to all of this," and then draws his weapon. So at the time I'm like, "Oh, he's like, I got the key to this." So you're like, "Yeah," he's trying to like boost morale. And you watch it a second time, and then I'm sitting there going, "Is he aware this has happened before? Is he aware? Is this when he's aware?" Because he seems the one clued in the most. Because he's the calmest. He's the boss.
And he's, like I said, he's praying all fucking movie with the beads.
Yeah, I think he's the one that figures out earlier, much sooner than the rest of them. But yeah, a literal key. He literally pulls a literal key out. So. But there's a great line when Baba's. It's again, this is going back slightly. It's just before Ramsey dies. Where is it? I had the line. Baba has a great line where he says, "Everything ends, but everything starts anew." Which
is that also when he says something along the lines of every sleep is a death and every awakening is a resurrection kind of thing as well.
It's like, yeah, not. Yeah, he says something to Ramsey, doesn't he? Because he even like thanks him for thank you for teaching the boy and blah blah blah. So I think it's implying that maybe Ramsey unintentionally did damn him and his soul. Which is good again, but it could just mean nothing. But it could mean everything. But that's why, again, that's another thing I really like about this. But I do understand what you mean though about going back to the gore though. Like it's not for everyone, and it does all come crashing down, all in like the same section of the film. And it worked for me, but obviously I understand why it wouldn't work for others. I'm assuming that's again intentional, where it's supposed to be like.
It's meant to be grueling, for sure.
Yeah. And it's supposed to be grueling because we're mainly following Arda, aren't we? So maybe. I don't know. I feel like everything in this film has a reason. And I don't think I figured it all out yet.
Yeah, I remember when I was getting mentally prepared for the podcast, I was thinking, man, there's so many holes. But I think the major one was the frogs, which we figured out earlier was actually a symbolism that we're just not familiar with culturally, I think. And I'm okay with that. Well, now that I know, I feel like, okay, the frogs are really done well then, because there was one frog in the soap dish in the bathroom, and there was many frogs in the only safe spot in the nightmare, where it's like, this is where it's the bonfire. Chill here if you can before you go into that nonsense, which we know you're just gonna do anyway, which is why the loopy guy was like, did you fall in the lake?
You think you're having a bad time, huh?
I love that though. He's like, I had an accident. He's like, you motherfucker, what? And then that guy just goes, please don't. He's slow.
Yeah,
he's just slow. Like,
right.
Fine, and then just like sit down like an angry, angsty teenager.
Right. The only thing like I would really remove from this movie is the entire altercation with the gaslighting police guy and the server boy. I really didn't like that scene, and I don't think it did anything good for the movie in its entirety. Because, like,
okay,
I mean, I thought they were trying to set up these police guys at the time that they were supposed to be unlikable characters, so that when they died later, you didn't feel so bad.
Yeah.
But we like Ramsey. We like Arda. We even like Sephi. He hasn't done anything wrong. Bigger guy, can't remember his name. He was cool.
Apo. Yeah.
Apo, yeah. It was just that one dude who was like gaslighting the waiter for no reason, and then they punch each other, and it's like that's like a life-altering experience when you start getting your head knocked in by a police officer who was watched by other police officers who are just like, this is a police sanctioned beating for
Yep.
no reason.
I'm glad you brought that up, actually, because that leads me on to something else I wanted to say about the movie. I love that there are all these kind of layers there, and you can pick up on things, and some of it is what you bring to it. I mean, like we've talked so much about David Lynch, and he's very much the case that he'll say, you know, your viewing of the movie is correct, it's valid, because it's what you bring to it and what you make, the sense you make of it. And what I took, well, first off, that scene to me seemed to say, look, these guys are the law, but they are a bit corrupt, they're a bit kind of silly, a bit crazy, and that kind of that sinfulness is why perhaps that they're being punished.
Yeah, they're imperfect.
Yeah, but then
They're flawed.
because I was thinking myself about why are they policemen, and why does it specifically take place in an abandoned police station? So I was thinking about like what have I written here? Because I wrote notes, important notes. Yeah, I feel like the fact that they're police means something. Because it feels like it's almost a kind of comment on corruption and law, because when they're faced with this horrible person who's gutting them, he says, "We are the law," and it's like, well, the law doesn't apply here. It's like this is like, and even if you were the law, you're not virtuous. You have your kind of like human sinful side.
Yeah, because he also says he talks about the human soul and how it's like a slave to power almost. It always seeks more power, and it's almost intimating that that's why Yavaz
Might have been drawn to being a policeman so he could push people around.
Now I'm a big tough guy, because he keeps saying, "You look like a tough guy. You're scared, but you look like a tough guy," almost mocking him.
Another little thing to bear in mind in terms of police and law and power is the name of the movie, which in Turkish means
Ice cream.
no. It means raid.
Oh,
This is a raid.
I should have looked that up. I feel like a fool.
It's really
Damn, I
interesting.
guessed ice cream.
Because
you feel like a fool.
they turn up in a, they're in the riot van. They've got their, and incidentally, another cool thing is at the end that van in that lake is completely empty.
Yeah, and it
There are
crashes
no
again.
people in that van.
That's right, because at the very end when we see it crash again, we see that they're in the van when it crashes, but then there's no one in the van.
Yeah.
So I suppose that means that we should get to the actual ending.
Yeah.
Full ending. Arda successfully bludgeons. Well, I say successfully. He bludgeons Bubba's face into burger meat, essentially, I'd assume. And I like the fact that we don't see it, because we don't have to. It's like Sephi's death. We don't have to see it. We know Sephi's dead as shit. And I'm actually starting to think now that maybe Sephi is the meat that is brought in at the beginning.
That's what makes him so sick in particular, maybe.
Yeah. Because he's kind of like being strung up, isn't he? The last time we see him. But yeah, so Arda escapes. He ascends the tower. He ascends Jacob's ladder. And I love the fact that the building is now just like awash in red light. It makes it look so like it's just the use of one color makes it look otherworldly, because why would anything like that be awash in red? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, and that's again leads to the whole dreamlike, nightmarish reality. It's like, yeah, colors. Like, you ever think about how something looks in your dream? Like, it's weird, right?
Yeah.
And that's usually when you wake up, though, isn't it? So when you go, oh, this doesn't make any fucking sense. And there's actually he gets out of the building, but not before I noticed that he goes through his family home again. It's a really short shot, but he's actually kind of stumbling through the hallway again before he reaches the outside. And then there's a great shot where that didn't really have that much effect on me the first time I watched it, but really creeped me out this time, is when he gets on his knees and just starts laughing. And he looks fucking terrified because he's covered in blood as well.
I thought the same thing. I was like, you get out of a place like that and you get out and you're alive, you're laughing.
Yeah, you get to laugh. You win laughter now.
Yeah. But it's just the way he was, the look on his face, like it's really unsettling. But but it's great because he almost kind of like snaps back, and he gets up and he starts running again, starts coughing again, which is something that happened in that one dream after they crashed. Actually, no, after they get captured, he's coughing, isn't he? But anyway, obviously gets onto a road, and this is when at that moment I realized exactly what was going to happen.
Yeah.
The second he got on the road, it's like, wait, they
Yeah.
no, and then you see the lights, and I'm like, oh my god, he's the person they hit,
Yep.
and he's the person they hit. They
Yep.
hit him, they crash, and it all starts, I'd assume, again. And I loved it. It was one of the few times where a time loop or because it's really difficult to get time loop in general like that working where
The thing
the
I like
reason
about it the
things happen is
most,
because of that.
yeah, the thing I like about it the most is that it's not a perfect time loop, because that
Yeah.
van is empty at the end, because where did his body go, etc. It's not
They
like
even
there's a
say-
perfect handoff. Usually these things seem so focused and intent on making sure there is the complete, oh, okay, like, and it's all going to happen again exactly the same. We don't know that it's going to happen exactly the same. We don't know how many times it's happened, how many times it might happen again. Like, even if it will happen, like, even if it is happening, like Chris said, it's kind of like, you know, there's a literal like sense to it, and then there is like, what does this mean in terms of dreams?
Yeah. And what's great about that as well is that when they crash earlier in the film and they go back up to find the body, they're like, there's fucking nothing here.
Yeah.
And again, a lesser film would just have them all going, "Oh, you just crashed," and the one character who sounds like, "No, I saw something." So, but because Apo is up at the front with Sevi, he's like, "No, we hit something. We heard," and they all know they hit someone because they heard it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the start, I thought they were making you know the guy, he screams and he's sick and stuff. That's clearly meant to kind of like sow doubt in you as the viewer. You feel the same as the other guys when he says, "Oh no, I can drive."
You're like,
So I was really glad that character witnessed the same thing, just to show that wasn't the case, because otherwise they would have just written it off as him being like still sick or claustrophobic or whatever it was they said he might be.
And I like that because again, lesser film would just have them all go, "Oh, you just crashed it because you're not feeling well." But I think even Ramsey says, "No, we hit someone. We all heard it. Like when you hit someone in the car, you're gonna fucking hear it."
That reminds me of something, actually. The first time when Naked Dude runs across the street and they don't hit him, they run out of the van, flashlights going, hey, we're trying to find the guy. And then Arda turns and looks at the van and sees all the scratch marks, which I don't know where those came from, but whatever. In that scene, when the policemen are looking at the van, there is a man walking behind them that you can see in the dark, like walking behind them. Yeah, I saw that. I was like, oh, cool.
Apparently you can see Baba in the reflection of the mirror when at the start Sefi is screaming in the mirror. I barely I didn't quite make it out. I didn't realize what it was, but yeah, that's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, and what I like about that, actually, getting back to, because he's in the background of a lot of scenes, and actually going back to, just before we talk about the actual the ending completely as well, as there's the first time they go back to the diner, and when Ramsey says, "Well, look around you," it's like, everyone's here, look around you, and the others are all gone. And then he's like mentioning about, oh, there's something, as someone as blah blah, and then he goes, "You see it too, don't you?" And then he looks behind him, and Bubba is just in the kitchen, not doing anything, but he's there, and he's like, "You see it too, don't you?" And it's like, that's great. I love shit like that. But
yeah, that is pretty cool. And that reminds me also, in that scene, Ramsey was telling Arda to open his mind, open his eyes a little bit, and that might be what Baba's referring to when he thanks Ramses later. You want to call him Ramses, but Ramsey later about like teaching him to see, teaching him, training him, that kind of thing.
That's I hadn't even thought of that. So that's why I love talking about these movies. This movie as well. But what's another thing that I realized watching it again, and I could be wrong, but I'm certain I'm not wrong. When they hit Arda, when obviously they don't realize they hit Arda, when they hit Arda, I'm pretty sure Arda's asleep.
That's cool.
Because when he's in the van, he's constantly just nodding off.
Yeah.
Isn't it? And then they see their command, "Oh, I wake up," and they're all looking for him, and then they're driving again. I'm pretty sure he's either asleep or he's just kind of dozing off. And so he doesn't even see. Obviously, he doesn't see who gets hit. But yeah, I noticed
I'm
this.
sure
I was
there are
like, yeah,
lots of little touches like that throughout the movie.
I love it. But yeah, the final shot of just that van, no one inside it. It's just there, and it will be there again and again and
And
again.
again and
Yeah.
again.
But it's the fact that there's no one in it is wonderful. It's great. I love this movie, and the I mean, we haven't even talked about the soundtrack. The soundtrack's fucking awesome. Like, I'm probably going to listen to it tomorrow when I'm working. It's got a great soundtrack.
I like that the credits theme as well. The first one, that was really cool.
Really cool.
I'm probably going to have an ice cream sandwich.
But yeah, I if you can tell already, I really enjoyed this movie, and I was nervous watching it again because it's always nervous whenever you like something initially. It's always that worry of, oh god, am I not going to like this as much? Because I've done it with games in the past, done it with other films. It's just like you watch it again, you go, yeah, it's okay, but I don't. And then you just realize you never want to watch it again. But I enjoyed it just as much the second time because I had fun, like looking out for things. Just trying to go, that says that, and then I realized that when they find all the drawings in the basement, which we didn't even talk about, like the paintings, there's paintings of frogs. There's I'm assuming there's the 4 of them chained up.
The goat lady as well, anatomically like rendered.
Mm-hmm. I'm pretty sure it's the 4 of them like all chained up as well. I love that. I love finding little shit like that. I love it when a filmmaker cares about the film enough to put stuff like that in it, because it shows that there's love and care been put into this.
Well, like you said, it was a short story first, or a short, like a movie first. So they basically just took what they had and just stretched it out into a feature-length film.
Yeah.
And just they had reason to add as much as they wanted. There wasn't a whole lot of like, okay, we got to take this and bring it down and take things away. They had the opportunity to embellish it as much as possible. And just real quick, because I like these kinds of stories too, because you mentioned you were nervous about watching it the second time. But what if, we didn't like it and all that kind of stuff?
Or if I didn't like it as well, yeah.
Or if you didn't like it, right?
I
I have like a famous story of my own where I saw Starship Troopers in the theaters and I fucking loved it. It was amazing. There was blood and guts and guns and the Zerg, or they're not the Zerg, but they're the Zerg. Fucking planet full of these bugs. It's amazing. Then I dragged my film buff friend with me to the second showing, and I was like, "This is Beverly Hills 90210." This is awful. And then they like sort of like half-ass screw on an aliens plot onto Beverly Hills 90210. And I'm like, I'm so sorry, dude. I didn't mean it. I'm so sorry. This movie's so bad.
But I love that juxtaposition of Starship Troopers though. I think that's a point of the film, is that it's supposed to be so idyllic because they have an idyllic idea of this military as well. It's like, oh, don't sign up. It's horrible. This is the first hint is when they're handing their papers in before they all fly off wherever, and he's like, "Oh, you're joining." He's like, "I'm a veteran of like X amount of years," and he salutes them, and he's got like a robot hand, and then the chair turns around, and he's got no legs.
He's got no legs.
Is that not the movie where is that based on a film? I want to say that the whole film is like a send up of the original material that it's copying. In that, the original thing was like gung ho, very kind of like right wing, like the military's great, and then they took it and they turned it on its head when they made the movie.
Something
like that.
No, we're doing satire. It's basically like, you'd be amazed how many you look at contemporary critics that thought it was pro fascism. It's hilarious. It's like, did you watch the same film? Like they're mocking fascism. They're making fun of fascism. That's like an underlying joke of the movie. I don't know how critics at the time didn't, not all of them, but some of them just didn't get that. It's like, it's literally it's RoboCop. It's making fun of the world it's
God, I need to watch RoboCop.
I think there's
Have you never seen RoboCop?
I've never seen any RoboCops. Yeah, I know. Which leads me. No, I'm not picking RoboCop.
Oh no,
not yet.
Can't believe
it's not a horror movie, is it?
Oh, I think we could justify it. It's gory, right?
The guy. Well, you've seen it, haven't you, Chris? You've seen RoboCop, right?
The original?
Yeah.
Yes.
What happens to Emil is horrific. At least I would say that put me off of going near factories as a kid. So I'm never
Yeah.
going near any kind of vats of anything because it's terrifying. But I won't say it for spoilers. But but yes, where were we? Film's great. I loved it. There we go.
It was okay.
Yeah,
I think it was a functional and technically well performed movie. There was nothing wrong with it on its like base merits. I just personally don't watch movies like this, but there's nothing wrong with it, and I would tell anyone who is into that kind of thing to continue watching those kinds of things.
Exactly. Like, at least it's not one of those types of films that's just bad.
Yeah, I'm of the mindset that it's a very good film and I like the ideas in it, and I would recommend it with an asterisk, which is like check it out on doesthedogdie.com before you watch it. Which is a great site that, like, maybe I don't like needles. Does this film have needles? Oh, okay, yeah, this film.
Does it have anything with eyes?
Yeah, that's one of the categories, and yes. See, I checked it out beforehand because I wanted to make sure, because sometimes I will watch these films with pumpkin blades, and sometimes they edge into, like, I to be honest, I mean, my major thing is like animal stuff. I really don't like animal stuff, even if it's fake. However, movies are kind of okay-ish because I know that they're not real. Apart from the ones where real animals actually died, and fuck those people.
Yeah, cannibal.
But the whatever it is, the humanitarian association or whatever, they come, they check out the movie, they make sure that no animals actually got hurt.
Yeah.
So I know that I'm kind of, although it's sometimes uncomfortable to watch, I'm okay with it because it's fiction, and I can watch pretty bad stuff. But there are things that I will never watch based on the synopsises I've read and or seeing on doesthedogdie.com. Like, for instance, a Serbian film. If you, like, heads up, if you guys ever choose a Serbian film, I will tell you to fuck off.
Now, I know what happens in a Serbian film. Fuck off.
Yeah.
Fuck off with that. Oh no, but it's symbolic. Fuck off with that.
Yeah. If 2 hours after, like, whatever the horrendous fuck you made me watch, you say something along the lines of, but it's really just a metaphor for this, it'd be like, fucking say this then.
Yeah, don't have that. I know what happens.
Human suffering isn't like human suffering here and there, good. You know, adds to a story. Human suffering, good. Yeah, quote Garlips on that. But you know what I mean? Like,
suffering
adds little spice to the story, is good. But yeah, just like wall to wall, I can't do it. So, but I feel like this was, I was not uncomfortable, apart from the disemboweling, which did make me feel a bit uncomfortable. I was okay. I can watch people get stabbed in the eyes because I know it's not real. But there are other people who definitely can't do that, and fair enough, you know, because everyone's got their lines where they will
actually
stop.
That reminds me. I actually forgot to say about the gut scene. What I noticed this time around is that when he's pulling it out, it's not in focus. His hand's the only thing in focus.
Yeah, I think you might have mentioned that earlier on in the podcast, actually.
Which is great because
I didn't notice that either. I was so kind of focused on the action that was happening.
Yeah, because the first time, like you, I felt it made my stomach hurt watching it. And
if anything, being out of focus might actually add to it because it's
what your head feels in. It's the same thing with like Sethi's death. Your head feels it in. You know it's not good. Yeah. What you don't see sometimes is scary, and I think that's why that scene was so effective. Is because it's not in focus, so your mind is instantly, because there's there's an object there. Your brain is just filling the gaps in, and I think that's definitely what affected the two of us, and why I felt so disgusted. I watched it. It felt so sick.
I'm very glad I watched it, and it probably won't be the last time I watch it either. I'll probably watch it again with more of this knowledge of the bits and pieces in it and watching for stuff.
Yeah, it definitely helps. I forgot to do when they're leaving the restaurant at the beginning. The restaurant sign, only part of it's illuminated, and I can't remember what it says. And I was going to look up to see if it meant anything. It's like Silvardi. Let's see, Silvardi.
It might well mean something. Yeah, absolutely. I love little touches like that. But yeah, I'm probably going to move us on now to next week's homework, because we are 20 minutes over, which I'm fine with.
Do you mean next week or the week after?
Oh, so yeah, we'll probably watch again. We'll probably broadcast again in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Good.
Okay. So
I got scared for a second.
I've been thinking about what I was going to pick for a while, actually, and I really gave it some thought because I've got a list as long as my arm of stuff that I would love to do on the podcast, and time willing, we'll get around to all of it. But choosing what I actually want from that list is hard, sometimes paralyzing, because I want all of them, and it's hard to pick. But my particular like flavor at the moment is I was sitting there thinking, actually, I really, really, really fancy, especially after playing Detention and Devotion, that kind of got me in the mood for like Eastern horror. And I was thinking, you know what, I really want to watch The Ring again, but that's not what I'm picking. I was like, I can't really justify The Ring on the podcast. First off, because we've already watched both Grudges.
Yeah.
And also because although we could easily talk about The Ring, like, I want to use my slot for good, and I want to watch something that I've never seen before. So it's like two birds with one stone, Richard and Linda.
I wonder if it's what I'm thinking of.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick an Eastern horror from around that time frame, but one that I haven't seen before. You two may have seen it, don't know. But we are going to be watching a film called Kairo, aka Pulse.
Yes! 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 I've been wanting
Specifically
to
the
watch
Japanese
this for
version,
ages.
because there is an American remake.
And the remake is dreadful.
Yeah, I hear the remake is not good, but I hear the original is very good. So
yes, I've wanted an excuse to watch this for fucking ages. I've heard
Cool.
really good
There
things
we go.
about it.
Because it's about the same time as The Ring. It was about 2001 it came out. And it's readily available on, I believe, YouTube. You can watch it on YouTube through their pay feature, or I think it's on Amazon Video as well. Yes, we're going to be watching Kairo. It's about, I gather it's about ghosts and the internet.
Yeah, it's from what I've heard, from people that have seen both versions, the American version is dog shit, is what everyone is always on board with. But apparently, despite the silly, it sounds silly when you say it, it's about ghosts on the internet, but as is tradition with Japanese horror, they just handle it very well apparently, and just make it very unsettling. I think again it has like a weird sense of unreality to it at times. So
Yeah, so it's new to us, but at the same time, it's not only Eastern horror from that same kind of time period as Ring and Grudge, but also I believe it follows a kind of an anthology format as well, in that it's similar things happening to a couple of different groups of people throughout the movie. So it's like kind of like The Grudge, we visit 3 different protagonists and their run-ins with whatever it is that's happening.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the director. Kiyoshi Kurosawa, who directed Sweet Home.
Oh, interesting.
Which, as we all know,
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Which is the film that ended up inspiring Resident Evil indirectly, because they made a game based on it, and then Resident Evil was going to be a remake of Sweet Home, and they did their own thing.
Yeah.
So it's like, basically the two reasons that game exists is Sweet Home, George Romero. Like, there you go. Those two put together.
It's all
Awesome.
connected.
Yes.
Two worlds converging. Running theme. Awesome. Yeah, I'm looking. Oh, yeah. Oh,
I've done
yes,
good. Hopefully it's not shit, but I hear it's okay.
I've heard good things. I've heard very good things about it. Okay,
seeing as we're running over, we will get very excited about that and go and watch it in our spare time.
Yes.
Let's plug the things, and we'll begin with Axton10_61.
It's funny because on my Discord, I'm actually nowhere near where you're pointing. But on your Twitch channel, it's totally fine. So you got it. I'm Axton1061, and I stream by the same channel name. I do action games. I do classic FPS. I will eventually be doing Silent Hill 4 speedrun starting probably next week. And I also have a community fighting game night. So if you're interested in like Dragon Ball Z or Tekken 5 or Tekken 7, Street Fighter 5, Marvel games, Smash Brothers, you name it, if it's modern, we play it. So we do that every Saturday, and we pass hosting around. So like if I hosted it one week, the next week somebody else can host it, and then somebody else can host it. So everyone's sort of moving around together as far as the fighting game community thing goes.
That's
And
cool.
I also do YouTube, but I'm kind of slow on that, so whatever.
Aren't we all?
Aren't we all?
Lost in the warp pipe.
Yes, hello, I'm Lost in the Warpipe. Hello there. What am I doing recently? I play loads and loads of different things. Basically, it depends on what I want to play. This week, however, we are playing Valheim tomorrow, actually, and we're going to try and get some more silver and maybe attack a giant dragon and die horribly. Wednesday, I have no idea what I'm playing yet because I set up a poll to determine what game I would be playing, and that runs out tomorrow in X amount of hours. At the moment, it looks like I'll be playing Bloodborne, but it could change.
Versus, I voted for Silent Hill 2.
You're one of the only people that did.
Fuck's sake.
It's got 2 votes. I'm so surprised. It's a multiple choice one as well. I know Kitty really wants me to play Forbidden Siren 2, but that's like joint 3rd place. So it looks like I'll be playing Bloodborne on Wednesday at the moment, unless that changes. But what I can do is, if I can post that there, there it is. There's the poll. You can vote. How nice. So we're doing that on Wednesday. Friday there won't be a horror stream this week because we're doing the podcast. So I'm alternating doing. So basically, when we're not doing this podcast, I will stream horror games on the Friday as well. It's just so I'm not on Twitch constantly. Saturday we are probably going to be playing Crash Bandicoot 4 because the sinking city makes me want to kill myself now.
It's about time.
Yes, it's annoying. And then on Sunday we'll be doing
Chris
Valheim.
doesn't get the joke.
I missed something.
Crash
we'll be
Bandicoot
doing-
4 has got the suffix, it's about time.
Oh, okay. I figured. Okay.
It's got time travel.
My bad.
So actually, we need to buy a Crash 4, so I'll probably buy that tomorrow. Then Sunday I'll be playing Valheim, The Forest, which I haven't played yet, and probably Phasmophobia, unless we just get addicted to The Forest. Yeah, so that's what I've got lined at the moment. I've got like loads of projects for YouTube that I just need to get done. So expect things eventually.
Nice. Yeah, I would like to do YouTube things as well, but I'm spending too much time on Twitch.
Yep.
It's hard. At least I'm keeping on top of uploading my VODs, so they go and live somewhere other than like getting banished to the Shadow Realm. But I'll keep them there someday and I'll use them for something. But anyway, yes, I made Affiliate last week, which is really cool. This week I will be streaming The Evil Within tomorrow. I'm playing through the story, and then once we've done the story, we'll do the DLC, and then once we've done the DLC, we're doing Akumu mode, which is one-hit kill mode. Because fuck my life. Wednesday, we're going to be doing Resident Evil DLC, and I'm playing through the story for someone who hasn't seen it before, so we kind of alternate between the two during that block. Thursday, I'm going to be doing Silent Hill 4 speedrunning, hoping to actually get a time this week. That would be cool. And what am I doing Friday? Oh yeah, Last of Us 2, Grounded. I'm going to carry on in that vein for a couple of weeks, actually. Just this kind of setup. Yeah.
That works.
Stop
So
by.
it's good to have a schedule.
But
So it's good to
yeah.
have a schedule.
Until next time, take care. Have a good one. Enjoy Kairo / Pulse.
Spookiness.
Spooky internet spookiness.
And play Devotion.
Yes.
Buy it first.
Give me your money.
Yeah, buy Devotion, then play it.
Yes. It's just some kind of strange interdimensional creature that can do that the other way around.
You play it, and then I'll buy it.
Then buy it.
Right.
Why finish that?
Nice.
Money.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.